be a real good program. So let's ensure that we will listen to all what Alex Bruno is going to say tonight. We will be talking to him on the normal way that we do the Lakous, and we will ask him about his upbringing in Calibishie, because Alex is a northeast man from Calibishie, to be precise. He will tell us all of his life in Calibishie. So I just want to say good evening to Alex Bruno. Good evening to you, sir.
Doing, my dear friend.
Good evening to you, sir.
Cecil, good evening. How are you doing, my dear friend?
I am doing very fine. I am doing real fine.
All right. Well,
and you, how are you doing, Alex?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here with you tonight, you and my dear friend. The brain. I'm looking forward to a very interesting discussion.
Brain, we have Alex Bruno, Professor Alex Bruno. Let's always remember, because when we are speaking of doctors, we say doctor.
Yeah,
So
doctor. I know the
we
doctor.
we have Professor Alex Bruno.
But I want to use the word. When I heard Alex was coming, I said, man, Alex is a wanted man. Because I wanted him to be here, because the word wanted has double meaning. So wanted, you could be wanted because you did a crime, but you can be wanted because you're doing well. So when I heard he was coming, I said, my God, Alex is a wanted man. Because I know he's a very popular guy, and he's also a man in the political sphere.
Well, tonight we are going to be talking about Alex's life.
We're going to talk about his life.
We're not going to focus on the issues of politics. We're going to be focusing on the issues surrounding Alex's life.
Where his life entails a whole deal of different perspective. So we're going to look at him. And of course, I will be remiss of me if I don't ask Alex about, towards the end, about, yes, we're going to Lakou, but Lakou has produced quite a number of politicians. Patrick John was a Lakou man, Also, Thomas Baptist was a Lakou man. So look, another Lakou man, this time from the country. So Alex, for instance, Lakou produced quite a number of persons, outstanding individuals. So yes. It's going to be a very interesting discussion, and I'm looking forward to it, because I knew you coming and I wanted you here.
What did I do?
Are you stating that wanted is a verb in this case?
Yes. Action.
Action word.
Not
describing anything tonight.
I'm not describing anything. I just knew, boy, that man is so popular around here as a diaspora man and as a local man.
No. Many people have been saying to me, Brain, that they find that you've been absent a few times and they don't like it.
Well, okay, let me apologize to you, Cecil. There are a lot of things that I have to be doing. As you know, I have my own show now on a Monday night on Kyrie. So sometimes I have to do the research. So I apologize to my listeners, and we'll try our best to be there every Sunday. Especially, I had to be here tonight, because a man like Alex, no man.
You mustn't have choices, You mustn't have preference. you must be able to be there. It doesn't matter who the individual is. It's important.
Well, no. Let's be honest with ourselves. Mm-hmm. Some animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than the other. It's not me that say that.
I don't understand that when you say some animals are equal. And
go and find out from Mr. Lawrence, who wrote the book Animal Farm. Some animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than the others. It's not me that say that. Mm-hmm. That's how society works.
Mm-hmm. Alex, would you agree with that, Alex? That some animals are equal?
Some animals, you mean animal... What do you mean? Like
in animal kingdom?
Well, in
animal kingdom, you have goats. You have also too. You have what do you call that? Cows.
You have fowls.
You have fowls.
Yeah.
And also too, in animal kingdom, you have mankind.
Exactly. Mankind.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was about to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I'm not sure that all the species are equal. I think all the species have a role to play in the animal kingdom. We men human believe that we are at the top of the food chain. I'm not too sure that that's what the lions think. So I just think we all have a role to play. Non-human animals and humans.
Yeah.
We feed on each other, some of them. I happen not to be one of those who feed on animals. I chose not to. It's quite a few years now.
That is good, Alex. You know,
Yeah,
you are like me. I don't feed on the animal kingdom.
yeah, but I think that's a very interesting topic. And as to equality among animals, I'm not too sure. I think all animals have their part to play, and there are some that will triumph over the others.
Right. So ant is also in the animal kingdom, and so the ant has a job to perform.
Yes.
The fly has a job to perform.
Yes.
The goat has the mosquitoes has a job to perform.
Yeah.
That's why they were created.
But let me tell him that before we get into the nitty-gritty. That's why you have a thing called stratification in sociology.
Yes.
Because there are different pyramids in the strata of society. It's not me that created. There are political leaders and there are ministers that serve and there are senators. So everybody has a different strata in the society, and as you said, they have their roles to play.
Yes.
I like that. I like that level of discussion that we're having. I'm sure that students who are actually listening, could really take a page from what you all have been saying. And
That's correct.
And to help their knowledge.
And that is why I would like to get into the genesis of his upbringing in Calibishie and get into the yards and understand what Alex's life was when he grew up in his village.
Now, Alex, in the background, you are seeing Calibishie. Tell me what you think about the community that you are from.
Well, boy, Calibishie was, and continues to be a very dynamic community. I grew up, well, first of all, when I was born, there were like 3 mothers looking on. Like 4 mothers, because if you consider my neighbor, Jane, as a mother, she indeed was a mother. So my mom was there, my sister, my grandmother, and Jane, plus nurse. So we had 5 ladies looking over me when I was born, and that's what I was born into, a community of very, very vibrant people who cared for me and still do care for me and look out for my best interests. So from birth, I had been looked over by people who are very industrious. And growing up in Calibishie as a child, they were always the community leaders who kept us straight. I'm not too sure exactly whether that's exactly the case as we speak right now. But my community, Backstreet, was a very neat community, very tight-knit community where everybody looked out for everybody, where we could leave my door or the neighbor's door open and I would go out or they would go out and say, look at my children for me, I'll be back. Or you could share fire coal, share bon from one house to the other, or go borrow a little spoon of sugar, some salt. So that was the kind of community, the kind of Calibishie I grew up in the immediate vicinity of my local Backstreet community. And it was that way around the entire community as well. I remember vividly that there were many different little hubs, and all those hubs that they were self-contained, so to speak. So we had a wider Calibishie community, but the little hamlets, the little units were self-contained. So Backstreet was a community in and of itself that we didn't have to go beyond Backstreet for our survival. Right now, I'm not too sure you can stay in Backstreet and remain there and survive, based on how I did when I was growing up. So that I remember vividly as a child, as a boy growing up in Calibishie, the self-sustaining nature of the different communities. And but that I think might have changed.
Alex, I must say, within the 7 minutes that we have started, I've seen Facebook has gone up to 90 viewers already within 5. That was the fastest ever.
Yes.
Since we have found ourselves on Facebook, we have been the fastest, and within 7 minutes, we are already on 90 viewers. And as I said earlier on, that once Alex comes on board, that is going to happen because Alex is an interesting personality in Dominica. And so tonight, I'm sure that we are going to boost our numbers. Now, Alex, talking about Calibishie, you spoke about your mom. Tell us a little bit much more of your mom in your growing up. What she did to ensure that some of the abilities that you now have, and training that you now have, tell us how she was able to do those things to you.
Well, she didn't do it alone. She did it as part of a group. My mom was young when she had me. She was 20, and she had 2 children before me and was married. So she was still finding herself. She was a young adult. And she had 7 children altogether. 2 of them did not quite survive. So she, as a young person making other children at a very young age, had to share the chores of caring for us between herself, her husband, and my grandmother. So I was born in Calibishie. I grew up in Calibishie. After my birth, my mother left the village, the community of Calibishie, and went to live in Woodford Hill. Because with her husband was from Woodford Hill. He's now of blessed memories. So she left me. Well, I went to Woodford Hill with her to live with her, and I had an incident where after the incident, my grandmother said, "Me take me picnic, and I'm bringing my child back to Calibishie." I cut my head right here. I think I got some stitches, and my grandmother felt, she was going to take me. So from there, I moved back to Calibishie, and my grandmother was the one who spent the 24/7 nurturing me, while I would see my mother on and off, and sometimes, almost every weekend, and certainly on holidays. So my mother, in terms of giving me the maternal care, but it was my grandmother who kind of molded me into the person that I am today. And of course, the connection with my mother, my father, and my grandfather as well. So it was not just my mother doing it, it was the wider parental care. So I had a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather, a great-grandmother, and I didn't know my great-grandfather. So all of these parents were sharing the task to grooming me into a person.
You were not the first of your siblings?
No, I'm the third. My sister was the first. My brother, who has passed, was second, and I'm third.
You said your sister was?
Sorry, my mom. Well, when I say was, meaning that she was born first.
Okay.
My sister is still quite very young. Celebrated a wonderful age just some time ago. And my brother, who was a year or two older than me, he passed. And then me, and then I have a brother after me. My sister, who was born after me, Veron, she was born in 1968. I remember her. I was a little kid when she was born. I was a toddler. But I remember my sister, and she didn't survive very long. She died a few months after she was born. So I remember her vividly, trying to grip things and walking around the place. She left us. And then after her, we had my brother, Gilbert. And after him, we had... meaning he was born. He's still here. And after Gilbert, we had Fred, my last brother, because the last kid of my mom, he didn't quite make it. He lived for a day. His name was No Name. He was not yet named. So that's where I come in the family. So I'm ranking number 2 now, because the one who was second has left us.
So you can see that 3 of your siblings
didn't quite. They are not here with us today. My brother was 52 when he left. My sister Veron was about 8 months when she left, and the last brother was a day. He didn't survive beyond the day. So 3 of my mother's 7 children didn't quite make it.
So the 4 of you all, tell us what the life was in the Lakou in Calibishie.
Tough. Just they call it poverty, but it wasn't. Poverty poverty is a concept created by people to categorize people for whatever reasons. But in Calibishie, we didn't have much, but we had a lot. So every meal, depending on our ingenuity, my grandmother would, first of all, get the coconut to create food for us, and she would go to the savannah, get dashing leaf, dashing, and she had something called a va. It's a long metal object that you used to put in the crab holes to get the crabs out. So she showed me how to do it. I couldn't quite do it because I was decaling the crab. I was pulling it too hard. So you had to put the va in and tickle the crab, tease it out until they walk out. But I didn't have the patience and the skills. So I would break up the crabs, and then I had to dig the holes to get the crabs out. So my grandmother taught me that. And when it rained, we went for sea week. And then even Zagaya, she used to go to the beach as well to prepare. So we didn't have money to buy stuff.
What is Zagaya?
Zagaya is a little white crab. I think they call it soldier crab as well.
Soldier crab, that's correct.
It's white and it's tall. It's very proud and it walks very quickly.
Yes.
And you have to be very skilled to catch Zagaya. So we used to go and catch Zagaya as well for food. And because I grew up in a fishing community. So we did the crab and the other stuff, and then we went to the river to catch domi and mili and stuff like that, crayfish. And then if we also went to the sea to catch bigo and conaten and whatever else we could catch, spags and anything that we could get, goet. So we never really needed anything more than the food that we needed for our nourishment, even while we didn't have a lot of money.
While you are in Calibishie, you said that Calibishie was or is a fishing community.
Yes.
Rivers.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Calibishie is washed by waters. We have a number of rivers running right across the village. We have a river in the northern part of Calibishie called Live well, we have Live Do and Live Sally. And then so that's two major rivers we have encircling the village. Plus we have Hodges River further north between Calibishie and Woodford Hill, and we have Hampstead River further south. So Calibishie is the land of waters. We have the sea as well running across Calibishie. And then we have a number of different ravines and bassins. So Calibishie is like a little oasis, so to speak, surrounded by vegetation and water. And as I said, Cecil, there was always food to eat. We didn't have to buy food. Back and neck and those things were luxury for us. We only got that when we had extra money. But on a daily basis, it was the things that we grew and the stuff that we catch from the sea that we survived on. That's why, Cecil, at 57, I look as I do now. Yes, I'm a little gray, but that does not suggest my health or the way that I feel. I feel as if I am 20 today because of how I think my life had been lived and the kind of food that we ate growing up.
I asked you earlier on in reference to the yard and your siblings. What about friends around you? How did you all associate yourselves with each other?
Interestingly, Calibishie, again in the Backstreet community, we were divided but still connected. Divided meaning all the communities competed sort of to be the better community. And in my community, we had leaders in the community. People like Kank, who we just buried a couple of days ago, whose life was ended maybe too early. So my sister, Edva, Ali, Matthew, Matthew, Derek, her brother, Sonny, Camrol, Tawo, Maventi. These people were the seniors, the older people, not quite seniors, the older people, the more experienced villagers. And they would guide us. Their friendship was golden. In fact, the friendship was beyond friendship. It was family. Mary Diff Celestine, Meo. I mean, this lady is an amazing Calibishie person who does not compromise on her culture and her belief. So I really love her passion. We don't see eye to eye in terms of the same political philosophy, but that takes nothing away from the way I feel about Meo. I mean, I would sacrifice anything I have for Meredith because she is the person that reminds me of who I am and kept us grounded, kept us connected. And when we didn't have food to eat, Meo would come and say, look, pass that in your mouth. Even today, if I go to Calibishie, Meo will go and cook a draught for me in less than 5 minutes. I have something to eat. So Cecil, speaking about that really brings me back to a time when the Lakou really raised the child. And yes, the Lakou raised me in Calibishie.
I like what you said about Meredith. Very nice woman, nice individual. But tell us a little bit more, although you started telling us the relationship between the adults and the young people. But give us a better understanding in how they were able to really raise boys like you and young girls, in the community to make them be the example that they really wanted to be.
Okay, so there were many clubs, Scout, 4-H clubs, Social League, Brownies, Cub Scout, etc. So I was a scout. Once a scout, always a scout. I am a scout. 17 Dominica Scout Troop. My scout leader was Campbell Challenger. He was the chief acolyte as well, and I was also an acolyte at church. So there were institutions as part of the community that we children were part of, and there were expectations of us. So we had to do one good turn every day. That's what we needed to do, and the adults made sure every child in Calibishie did that good turn. So my good turn would rotate around helping the elderly people. So we had to connect with the elderly, and every child had to adopt sort of an elderly person. So my elderly person was it Matatai boy? One of those individuals. So I would find myself at their home. There were times when I had to empty the little potty for them and clean it and take it back, or get water for them, or peel their food and put it on the fire, to get in groceries, to go into the river to fetch water, to go in to buy a bottle of kerosene, whatever it is that the elderly need us to do, we as children were supposed to do it, and we had to report to our patrol leaders and let them know about our good turn. And everybody had to speak about their good turn, and we had to be truthful about it. because that was in keeping with the Scouts' motto. So we had to be truthful, and then at the end of the day, everybody did a good turn, and we got applause, and we got commendations for that. So the children in my community at the time looked forward to doing their one good turn every day. And of course, I would do more than one good turn. I would do like 2, sometimes 3 good turns a day. Because they used to tell us that the Bible says the more you do good is the more good that's going to follow you. So that's how I think the older members of the community was able to keep the younger ones in check by showing us that there is goodness in doing good and being virtuous.
Talking about preschool. Tell us the preschool that you went to, who taught you at the school.
Cecil, ironically, or probably interestingly, I remember the first day of preschool, my first day of preschool. I went to Teacher Lucy Preschool in Woodford Hill. As I told you, my mom took me to Woodford Hill, and my grandmother came for me after I had this little accident. So Teacher Lucy was a neighbor of my mother, and she was the preschool teacher. The first day of preschool, I remember quite vividly, Cecil. I went to school. My teacher, Lucy, was standing waiting for me. She had a yellow and white polka dot polyester box cut dress, and her hair was parted in one with 2 parts to it. So I walked in. She took me from my mother. I had a little recess bag. We didn't have kits at the time. I cannot remember what I had for recess, but I know my mother had my recess, and she walked me up to school. The school was at the old chapel, Woodford Hill Chapel. So I went into school, I sat on my bench, and just before class started, I leaned back, and I fell backwards and burst the back of my head. That's when my grandmother woke up, but I'll explain how that happened after. So when I hurt my head, it was not my fault, because as a boy, we had a little bench at home. And I felt that the bench at school was just as the bench at my home. I mean, at the time, I guess I didn't have the presence. So leaning back for the backrest, which was not there, I hurt my head, I burst my head, I split my head at the back. And I had to be rushed to the nurse. Nurse Eureka was my nurse name, and she gave me stitches. I remember the stitches that she gave. And just shortly after that, my grandmother came and said, you know what, may take me picnic. And she brought me back to Calibishie, maybe a day or so after that fall. But I remember everything of that first day at preschool. Nothing else after that, but that first day I remember.
And then you went to school in Calibishie.
Yes, I continued school at Calibishie. I went to my captain school. My captain is, captain, we know how my captain did in. May she rest well. She had a little school downstairs her house for younger children. And there was the Calibishie old school that the older children would have gone to. So I went to MacCapton School, and I was the register boy, Cecil, the person who used to bring the register to the big school after they did our attendance at the small school. So I went to MacCapton School, and after that, I moved on to the Calibishie Primary School. And I spent all my time there as Calibishie Primary School before I left for the St. Andrews High School. I can rush through it if you want me to, if you have a follow-up.
No, I want you to tell us about that primary school life.
Good.
But as you're saying that, I just want to say that to all the people on Facebook, 127 actually viewing at this time. Yeah. All of you all, I just want to say good evening to you, especially Kofi James, good friend of Alex, and a few other people. Snapper in New York is also listening and looking on. Randy Turner is also on. We have Rosamond Royer, David Lancourse, and a few other people that are actually looking on, Alex. I just want to say good evening to these people.
Yeah, man. Yes. I'm happy that we have a nice little crowd, nice following, and I'm particularly pleased that Kofi, my brother, is on original all the time. A brother that I really have a lot of love and respect for. And I remember our little soiree in Chicago when I went there for a little while. Took me to a very interesting little bar and had some wonderful entertainment. He's a big star in Chicago. He doesn't really always speak about it, but he's very highly respected as a cultural leader in his community. So big respect to Kofi.
We were talking about Calibishie Primary School.
So I had always been a very talkative boy. Very, very, very talkative. And I remember Miss James, who died just recently, was my teacher in grade 3. I remember my first grade teacher and my second grade as well, but grade 3 is more memorable because Miss James was an interesting lady. She didn't like the fact that I liked talking, and she would have punished me many, many times for talking. In fact, just before she passed, she told me she did not understand then that talking was my strength. And if she knew then what she knows now, she would not have punished me for being a great talker, because she's so proud of me for the strides that I have made. So I was a big talker, like getting involved, like asking questions. I was very inquisitive. And I remember very fondly singing at school, "Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky." So we would sing that in different parts. At the end of the school, when we went for lunch, we would also sing. When we came back from lunch, we would also sing. So singing was part of our school repertoire. We sang at the mornings before our prayers. We sang at the break. We sang after break. We sang at lunchtime. We sang after lunch. We sang when we were leaving that day. So it was always a beautiful thing to hear the school singing. And Miss Melianis George was, I think, the person in charge of the choir. But in our little classes, we did our singing as well. So I remember the singing at school. I remember my half exercise books and my half pencil. As the younger of the two children, I would be given the top part of the pencil because I was younger and I was expected to make more mistakes writing. My sister would get the lower half of the pencil, so she had to make sure she write properly so she wouldn't have to erase. And I got the half of the exercise book as well. My mother would cut the books into two and give us half each, and my book was placed in a little plastic, the plastic that I got my school uniform from. They came with a little plastic, so that was my school bag with my little pencil. That was it. And then my recess in one of those brown paper bag. So that's what I went to school with. I remember very, very clearly the implements that we used for school during my time.
You have to tell us the experience in primary school. I need to know. Yes, you said that you're very talkative. There was recess time. There's period that you have to play sports. But before that happens, I want to find out from you, Brain. Alex sang a song, and I too was taught that song at school. I'm trying to find out whether or not at that period of our bringing up, going to school, was it deliberate to literally brainwash the students, not only to involve in culture but also to understand the value of
Well,
of
not
education.
brainwash. It was part of the cultural norms that singing was a must, whether you were a boy or girl. Singing, you sing as you enter the classroom, you sing at assembly, you sing when you enter your class, you sing at lunchtime, and you sing when you're going home.
Yeah.
Not only that, you sang your tables.
Yes.
Twice 1 or 2, twice 2 or 4, twice 3 or 6, and you go on.
No, I don't think you were saying twice. You were saying 2 1s or 2.
No, I was saying.
Oh, you're saying twice?
We are.
Yeah,
we singing.
We were saying 2 1s or 2.
Yeah.
2
We
2s
singing.
or 4. 2. Yes,
Yeah, we singing, man.
Yeah.
You had different rhythm, you know.
And Alex, will you remember for multiplication, for us to be able to spell it, there was a thing that used to rhyme, M4, blah, blah, blah.
To remember the multiplication?
The word multiplication. Word multiplication.
But
there was a
No, but I didn't remember the one for multiplication. We had the one for contents, but I will not repeat that.
Why not?
Charlie opened N and 2.
Oh, right.
There were
N and 2,
Yeah.
and we go on.
There
So we
were
had
rhymes
rhythm for different
almost,
things.
There were rhymes for almost everything we had to remember. I know the vowels and the E and I. I think it was use I before E except after C, or when song like A as a neighbor or way. So things like that we had to learn. I also remember the definition when I was like about 5 for corals, and it was like corals are tiny carnivorous animals which extract the calcium carbonate from the surrounding seawaters to make protective shells on themselves. So they made us cram very important things and cultural things as well. We used to sing cultural songs too, patriotic songs that we were supposed to remember every time. What service shall we render thee, Dominica we love? You know, and we had to sing those songs every time and sing our national pledge and stuff like that. So we were cultured, not brainwashed, Cecil, into accepting ourselves as a people who we are, respecting authority, and especially our political leaders, the police, the nurses. These people were number one When they come to see us, we stand and we respect them. When they went to the bay for fish, they got fish before anybody else and stuff like that. So we learned respect and reverence, and it came from the school.
Right.
At Calibishie.
And one other thing is that when you enter the classroom and your teacher comes in, you stand.
You had to stand.
You do not sit, you stand.
I remember like yesterday.
And then, yeah.
Because if you should sit, that is termed as being rude.
And you'll get a caning.
And you'll get something.
Severe caning.
Yeah, you'll
So
get
you
a
have to
caning.
stand. So, good morning, sir. You stand. And then
they would say-
you cannot just sit.
So
then they
Alex,
say,
while you were in
Have your seats.
while you were in primary school, and I think you would have to start in standard. Well, not standard. There was no
Stage.
Stage.
Yes.
Where you studied at ABC class or stage 1?
No, well, I started in stage 1. There was 1, 2, 3, and then there was standard going all the way up to whatever it is. So I started in stage, I think, if I remember very correctly.
And then when you stand outside for assembly,
Yes.
what would they do?
Oh boy, you bring me back to a time. So the lowest, the youngest children would stand at the front, and we'll go until the larger classes. So I think my class was the 3rd class in line. That's the earliest I can remember being in line. And we would stand horizontal across, facing the school, and every other class would stand behind us down this little incline of the Calibishie school. There was an old school at Calibishie before the new school was built in the 70s. That old school, I never went to that old school. It was demolished before my time to go to school. But I remember I used to be out there trying to peep through the holes to watch matinee. Because they used to play matinee at the old Calibishie school. And I remember there was a movie called Thunder Kick. And I went to try to stow away, but I was too young. They wouldn't allow us to go. But we used to go under the little house and peep through the holes and check out the movies. So I remember that too. And I also remember the lining up. Again, the line showed regiment. And I think they were preparing us to be to be disciplined. And it was kind of a military regimental style. A little rough, because Miss James, my teacher, was very big on caning. In those days, children would be caned by teachers. Every teacher you could cane, including your neighbors' friends, and those bigger than you. So if you did something wrong in my days, you could be caned like 5 times before you get home. And when you get home, you are caned again. That's the ultimate one. So that's one of the things I remember. The caning we used to get, the dusters on the knuckles, the guava whip across our buttocks, or in the fleshy area of our thigh, the ruler in our palm, and stuff like that. Off and on, the little pinch on the ear and the twisting of the mouth when we spoke a bit much. But I think in hindsight, some people might have said it was bad, but to me, it did me well. I would not do it now, and I don't think you can do that now. But in my day, I think that helped me to keep me in the straight and narrow.
I just want to say Julieta Dover says that she's watching. There is another person who is saying that is so true. And I also remember that song that you sang. My first teacher, I remember very, very vividly. Would you know who's my first teacher? I've been saying that quite often, Alex. My first teacher.
Your first teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Cecil Joseph's teacher?
Yes.
What, in Roseau?
Yes. Because I had to leave country to come to Roseau to go to school.
I know you came to school in Roseau.
Yes.
Norrin
Joseph.
Norrin?
Yes, Norrin was my first.
Okay.
In ABC class in Roseau Mixed Infant School.
Interesting, yeah.
Yes, and she said that was not brainwash. That was proper upbringing.
It was cool.
Shelling Pond is also on. She said, Alex, I am listening. There is another royal lady who says that the good old days, the reason we were able to remember these things. Another person, Anthony Simon, said, God save the gracious queen. Remember this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
God save the gracious queen. Amazing. And I also remember, what service shall we render thee? Dominica we love. What gives of heart of bread, may all devotion. And we should sing it in parts, in harmony.
Yeah.
You know, that coming age, invoke our age, that voice of all inspired.
Let me ask him another
thy
question.
sons and daughters be less worthy than our side.
But Alex, you have good memory, man.
Good memory.
As you're saying that, now I'm
remembering the songs.
Yeah.
I haven't forgot anything I learned at school.
But let me ask you.
Anything. Everything is there.
As part of your punishment, were you ever placed at the front of your class to kneel down?
Yes.
Well, kneeling was another thing.
And with a stone
And
sometimes.
2 stones over your
knocking
head.
over my head. Yeah.
I-
Or
I-
hopping on
one leg.
One
Yes.
leg.
I remember Miss Hamlet. I'm not so sure where she is.
She died.
She died?
Yeah.
Wow, not in Dominica.
No, overseas.
Right. Miss Hamlet taught me in standard 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a troublesome boy. And I remember one day I did something in class, and Miss Hamlet brought me in front of the class, and she gave me first to write lines.
Mhm.
Lines.
When she was not satisfied that I wrote the lines as quick as she wanted me to do, she put me to kneel and got me 2 stones to knock.
Over your head. That was.
I will never ever forget that.
Oh, you had another punishment.
Yes.
You stand on the desk.
No, I never. That was never done to me.
I
Yeah.
never did that.
Never did this.
No, well, I stand on the
They
desk.
never had me do that. My biggest punishment, however, was to stay quiet. Alexander, you will stand in the corner over there and you will say nothing until I ask you to say something. That was a problem. I couldn't stop talking. So I remember that as being my biggest punishment. And I think it was Mr. Cabin, Bernard Eger Cabin,
Yeah,
who
Bernard
was
Cabin.
principal of the school, who did that to me. He said I would have bit you, but you are my cousin. And he feared hurting me.
No. I asked you the question earlier on, Alex, in reference to you standing in line.
Yes.
Did they request of you to see your nails?
Inspection.
Your inspection. Check
Yes.
your hair.
Thoroughly.
Yes. At that time, we used to call it guinea hair.
Yes.
And the teacher would always have a comb.
Oh my word.
Tell us.
So your nails had to be in order. Your face, your teeth, your hair, your ear, your nose. Those are vital parts. And they used to let you grin and see whether you had anything on your teeth. And if not, you had to sometimes go get a...
And we call it cheese.
Yes. If not, you had to go and do what you had to do. Get a guava wood and pong it, and you would use salt water or sometimes charcoal in a little bag. Because we didn't have toothpaste and toothbrush. And you had to take care of your teeth. Come back. If your hair was going well, there's this breakable comb. They had a thin side and a thick side. And the teacher would start from here, go on the way back. So you had to come prepared. If you didn't come prepared, you would face the wrath of the tidy police as well. And your uniform had to have been in order. Most of us didn't have shoes. But whatever shoes you had to have been, proper. And at least your face. What we did, we didn't have cream at the time. My grandmother couldn't afford cream. So we used coconut, pashy cocoa. I would chew the coconut, eat the thing, spit the pashy in my hand, and do this, and use the coconut thing for my cream.
And you shine in.
For our food, for our lotion.
Right.
And I think that is cocoa butter. It was really working at the time, and then we would do our little face and stuff like that. But you had, no matter if you were Malay, you had to appear at school groomed and properly presented, ready to learn.
Just want to say good evening to Jerry Tewitt. He's also tuned. Juliana Barron, she said that she's listening, and she said it's a very good program. Snapper is laughing his guts out. And Lana Prince, she's also listening. And Samuel Latouche is also listening. And Pinad is also tuned in.
Nice.
Maria, I think Maria Paul is that. You see, those days, boy, Alex, even if you have the glasses, you're still not seeing.
Right.
You know.
Well,
But
Let me ask him a question.
yes.
Now, Bernard Carbon was a huge guy,
yeah, man.
Very big guy with some large hands.
Yes.
He was no nonsense man.
Yes.
Just his presence would send you
Yes.
into a certain level of quietness. I met him. He was part of my colleague. He was a colleague of mine. So he was a very strict guy. No nonsense man, Bernard.
Stickler for detail, and his diction was impeccable.
No, at that time, Alex, we have to come to the church aspect of it. And also, Olga
yes.
Louis in St. Lucia is tuned. I just want to say good evening to you, Olga. Thank you for being here with us tonight. And the person I was talking about is Maury Pinad, I think.
Yeah.
Maury, but you see, Alex, Maury Paul. All right. And no, Alex, you start to move on. So you have left standard 1 to standard 2, standard 3, standard 4. At that time, you are preparing to do common entrance.
Yes. So, and here's the deal. So, I was a bright student. I had always been bright. I was told I was bright. And in my day, there were 2 Richies, Richie Nixon, Richard Nixon, 2 teachers' children, and Alex Bruno.
My cousins.
We were the 3 wisest, brightest boys. So, common entrance, we had to do the exam when we were 13 because you only have one chance. the seats were limited, and they only gave you one chance to do this. If you didn't do it, you don't go to school, if you didn't pass. So on my 12th birthday, we registered for common entrance. I went to do my common entrance. Bam! Finish up. I think I aced it. Chill out a while. On my way out, walking to leave, going for a little break, I saw a student's paper down, fell. So I picked it up and put it on the desk, and I continued walking. Didn't saw it. She said, Alex, what happened? Come. So I do not know what she felt, but she saw me put the paper there, and I felt probably she felt what she didn't see. She took my examination number. Long story short, the results came back for school for exams, common entrance, and my name was not even on the supplementary list. Now, the two other Richie got scholarships. I didn't even get a bursary or even on the supplementary after pass, because after you got the pass, people who did well enough and didn't pass, they put them on the supplementary list. Should a place open up for them? So I didn't get there. I failed the common entrance. I had no other chance, and my future was finished, because I wasn't going to go to school, and my dream just came to an end. And I didn't understand that the teacher disqualified me because she probably felt I was cheating. I only realized that later in my life, how I never was able to pass the entrance, and everybody did. So I stayed back in Calibishie school at 13, and I continued going to school until I said I'll be 15. But I was a cricketer, and I was playing cricket for the school. And it so happened that in the days, Brain can tell you, Cecil, that the bigger students were allowed to teach the smaller students. So I was assisting the teachers because I was a bright boy, as you said. I did the school living certificates the year after. When I was 13, I got a grade 1 certificate, meaning I passed math, English, science, all the subjects. But I failed my common entrance. So after that, I decided, well, if I pass the general education, I am going to go to high school, because I want to go to high school. I want to become somebody. But before I went to high school, I was playing cricket for the school, and I got a job to be an assistant teacher, and I was being paid for that. So Miss James was on maternity leave, I think, or she went to study in Roseau for college, and I was given a job and was paid as a teacher in Calibishie as a student. I remember that very vividly. And there was another teacher who became a teacher, and he became principal of Calibishie through being an assistant teacher, an unqualified assistant teacher. So I did that, and then I left to go to St. Andrews High School, and I met the people who had left me to go, the Richie and Audrey and others, because I went to St. Andrews High School in the exam year, Cecil, and I did so well with one term that they skipped me from first form, and they put me all the way to third form. So I was skipped a form at high school, and I met up with my brothers who had gone ahead before me. And as you say, the rest is history.
No, Alex. I like that. Snapper just said, oh my God, Alex, you bring back memories of my upbringing.
Yeah.
That means, Alex, you are bringing back some memories to a number of people.
Yeah,
Randy Turner said that Calibishie love home. He's from Calibishie.
Yeah, man.
And
Randy Turney.
Randy,
Is Turney?
Turney.
Yes.
Turney. Yeah, you're right. Turney.
Yeah.
And you have Diana Leblanc. Yes. He said good vibes. And also too, you have Leoma Joseph, who said good program. There was also floss given by other teachers. You remember that? Where they were giving the schools floss?
Floss, yes.
Yes.
Floss.
Like,
and then
almost
we
like toothpaste?
Yes. And then we used to, it was not really, it was a mouthwash, right? A mouthwash, and maybe floss if they had, but certainly a mouthwash. And we got a cup of milk every day. Milk. Somehow they gave us milk every day. I'm not too sure why. But we in Calibishie had milk. We used to line up and they gave us a cup of milk every day. I remember that. And that used to make me feel sometimes I didn't have breakfast, and the milk helped me out that day as well. So I remember that. I remember that very well. And I also remember the cake and juice during Independence. They used to give us buns and juice. Every Independence we used to get that as well. So I look forward to that time of year every year to get my cake and juice. Sometimes we used to go to Roseau as well for those celebrations as well. So
and Helen Henderson is asking you, and she said, hi Alex, how is my loving sister Quintina and my niece doing?
Oh, great. Absolutely great. She's from Grand Bay, no? Grand Bay Massive, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing well. Well, she knows. Tell her she should call her sister. She should call her sister. Tell her call her sister because there's a little nouvelle she should get.
A nouvelle?
Yeah, there's a little nouvelle she need to get. So tell her call Quintin.
The sister had another child?
No, she's not gonna be having any children.
Getting married?
She's married, but I think she's past the age of.
Okay, so well, call your sister to get that novel. I don't want to say that on the radio.
Let me ask you a question.
We have 189 people now following Alex.
Right.
That's good.
Yes, yes.
Let me ask him a question. Who was your principal at the St. Andrews High School?
Ouch. Well, that is a little painful to answer, and I wouldn't give reasons why it is painful.
Was it Mark Sandro or Mr.
No, it wasn't
David
Max at all.
Edwards?
It was a gentleman called
Oh,
Calvin Peters.
Calvin Peter. Oh, yes.
I met him at St. Andrews High School
Calvin.
when I started. In fact, he gave me an entrance examination to take. And I took the entrance examination and passed to get in there. But I don't have very, very good memories of this man. And the only thing I can say on records about him right now is that I think he's like a monster. And I wouldn't go in any more details. And I don't know if he's listening or his family are listening, but I will not discuss anything more than just that. I just think he in particular was, he was not a nice man.
When you say that he's a monster, people have already gotten the picture.
He wasn't a nice man. He was very, very unkind.
To students?
Personally, to me in particular.
Okay.
But I wouldn't get into that. I don't really want to go in that zone right now. I just remember when I told her that Cecil and Brain, that he was not a very nice person.
No, Alex. Most students who are living in the country, their dream is to get to Roseau.
Yeah. Oh boy.
When was your first time you got to Roseau?
Oh gosh. Cecil boy, I think that was for... Whoa, that's a good question. But when was the first time I came to Roseau, boy? I think that was for my first communion shopping. How old you make first communion?
At 8, some 9.
That was my first time. My grandfather took me to Roseau. So I said, I can't remember that day. I was like, no. We had to go to sleep and wake up to come to Roseau. And it was a truck we were taking from Calibishie. We had to leave around 5:30 in the morning. And we had to wake up on first cock because the different cock have different times that they crow. First cock, second cock, third cock. The first cock crows at 2 o'clock. The second cock crows at 3. The third one at 4. So we have to wait to hear when the third cock crows for you to be up. So we didn't bathe to leave at that time in the morning. You bathe at nights and you kind of put your clothes and wash your face.
You bathe or you sponge?
Sponge, man.
Oh,
and what sponge at now? Run in the water and run back out. So we came to Roseau that day. My grandfather bought a grip in Roseau and he took me around. He got some canfar ball. He put in that little grip, a brown grip, and he took me around BTI, by Trini and those places. Astafans was there? I think so.
Of course,
Astafans.
if you say by Trini was there, Astafans have been there before by Trini.
Yeah, and he took me around to buy my clothes. He called me a big shot. So that was my first day in Roseau, my first time when I was 8. And boy, I felt as if I had arrived heaven because Roseau was so different from Calibishie. And I had anticipation after that wanting to go back to Roseau to search for the greener pasture. I never felt like as if I should remain in Calibishie. I wanted to go out there to see, to continue to enjoy what the world had to offer. And to me, Roseau was the world. Roseau opened me up to things I never imagined. People who were born in Roseau may not understand it, but for a country boy, to me, Roseau was the ultimate.
Well, what you saw in Roseau that really wow you?
It's like the experience in Roseau, the people who were talking, passing, the people who were talking loudly. There was a particular man who was saying something about incense, and another guy.
Buy your incense.
Yes.
Was it Matthew? A Rasta man?
His name was. Yeah, he was
Matthew.
a very well-spoken guy, very laughy,
Yes,
joyful.
Rasta man, Matthew.
Right.
Yes.
And there were other people who would pass with bells, and they would give announcements of what was taking place.
Water and people die.
Yeah, and there were guys, and you would see things, you would see fellas passing with little slot pails on their head. So there was a lot of hustling and bustling happening at the same time. And that I think was so fascinating. The guys would pass on little bicycles with the little...
Like a bell.
The bells, and little caboways.
Cabway.
So that was new and different to me. And it was activities. And then you would take the aroma of bread, fresh bread, and different things happening in the...
You still so long, man.
Yeah, man, Cecil. So these are the things that caused me to fall in love with what Roseau is the commerce, and stuff like that. So that was it for me for Roseau. And of course, the people who were nicely dressed, most men would walk with their little briefcase and nice clothes, and the women also would be dressed as well, going towards the ministry and other places, the banks and so. So it was just really nice to see how Roseau just came alive.
As we normally say, you never got a gawe, so your grandfather just kept you close to his side?
Yeah, he would keep me, and he would put me by Mr. Cook. That's where he would keep me until because my grandfather was a director of the National Bank of Dominica. He was a big shot. And so he would leave me there, go and do his banking business, and come back and pick me up. So I didn't have the opportunity to. But when I was coming on my own, I got lost a few times.
Got lost?
Oh, yeah, man. Gawe in Roseau many times, man. Many times. And it took me sometimes hours, man, going around trying to find where I'm supposed to be. But then I started marking the places now. So if you see people from the country come to Roseau, Cecil, and sometimes you think they're gazing or they're looking as if they are lost. It's not that. They are looking for landmarks. So I would look up and see the pole there, tree there, house there, what color of the house. So I would mark everywhere I passed, so I pass back to the exact marks that I saw. So you would see country people, they call us country bookie. You would look up and you would see us looking around. It was not because of what people thought. It was just to make sure we saw landmarks, so we can remember to get back to where we needed to get back to.
Somebody said that Roseau was like America for you.
Oh, yeah, man. Roseau was the big time. I had never seen a better, nicer place than Roseau when I came for the first time. And all my formative years as well coming to Roseau. Even when I came in to play cricket as an under-19 cricketer, Roseau was just it for me. It was just a nice place to hang out. The botanical gardens. Sometimes the older men would be there talking. I would stand close to them and listen to them. And it was just joy and music. Fellas like Starley Strad and Thomas Baptist. I didn't know them at the time. I ended up getting to know who they were. And this gentleman to this tall man by the name of Mr. Shillingford, man. Havis Shillingford. This men would gather there and they would have very intelligent conversations.
So Thomas Baptist, Starley Strad.
Yeah. So
even Cecil Larocque.
Yes. I used to go there to listen to these guys speak. And when, alas, I think the tradition is no longer there. But I purposefully used to go to gardens, and then when they used to be playing cricket, they would sit there and discuss the politics and the cricket and everything else taking place in Dominica. So Roseau was to me, Roseau was it for me.
Okay, we have dealt in depth with the educational aspect of it. Now I want to know, Alex, church. Were you a Bido Leglis? Was your grandmother Bido Leglis?
Bido. To the point where I was an acolyte, an altar server. Had to have been very, very close to the priest. I eventually became one of the chief acolytes. So I had to be there. My grandmother saw it fit that I was going to be there. And I also remember that there were different pews in the Calibishie church. The more affluent people had their own bench. And people who did not fit the strata in society could not sit on those benches.
You talking about Calibishie?
In Calibishie,
Oh,
yes.
I thought that happened only in Roseau.
All around.
Oh, no, my friend. And I can call the names of the people in Calibishie, who had their own pews. You could not sit on their benches.
Shirley Nixon had one?
No, Shirley didn't have one.
What about Mr. Joseph?
But yes.
Sylvester Joseph had one?
Yeah, he was an affluent guy.
Affluent.
My own Massa. And these people, they were high-collared individuals. So they had their own bench. And if they did not make it to service, whatever day, you still cannot occupy the bench. So that different pews. And they used to say, you're in the right church, but on the wrong pew. So I remember the pew stuff as well. And every other Sunday we had the scouts used to march. That was the day when the service was being done by the scout. So I was an altar server, Cecil. I was an acolyte. And when I was very hungry, my friend Gibbs used to allow us to take a bit more than one lusty. Because
Who's Gibbs?
A guy who served acolyte with me, and he used to force me to take more than one bread.
So let me ask you the question now.
Yeah.
Because I too was an acolyte. There are a few things that we did.
Yeah, it's lusty.
Did you steal any lusty?
I didn't steal it.
No.
I took it. I was hungry, man. Gibbs used to take a whole point like that and put in his mouth. But no, lost is a thing. When you eat it too fast, it's sticking in your gullet.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he used to eat it fast, and when it stick there, you have to try and swallow very quickly and get a lot of speed, salivate. But no matter how much you try, it's stuck up there. So I used to take. I didn't take too much, but Gibbs used to take a whole point, man.
Hold on. You used to take or you used to steal?
Take.
Were you given permission?
No.
So when you took the losty, did you go behind of the altar to eat it?
No, we had a way of chewing it by not chewing. So we would do a thing like that.
Right, that's good.
So we would be that way.
And that's after mass.
Yes, man. And we had to clean up and stuff like that. So what was left over was our meal.
GD was there?
Yeah, it was a nice sweet wine. I think it might have come from Guadeloupe, where it was a really wonderful tasting wine. But the leftovers were for the acolytes. I mean, we would just, because we needed food.
Were you paid?
As an acolyte? No, I never got money as an acolyte.
Well, in Roseau, we got about 25 cents and 50 cents.
Right.
My mother got it, my grandmother. I think it was about 5 cents or whatever, but my grandmother would get money for my service, but I never got it. She took it for whatever reason.
No. Normally, we would have been told by our parents that we cannot eat before we go to church.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Was that tradition in Calibishie?
Calibishie, yes. We couldn't have food. We only ate after church. And church was around 10-ish sometimes, so I had to be there for an hour before to get prepared. I had to dress the priest as acolytes. I do not know how you did it, but we dressed the priests. And there was a particular routine with which they put the clothes on. So we had to make sure we have the right apparel, the right part of the garment at different times. And then he just put his hand, turn around, we tied the stuff, and then after that, when he got the last one on, he fixed it himself.
That's one have been the one in the collar.
Yes, and then we bow. He bows to us. That's a good thing. The priest was bowing to us, and we both bow to each other. And then we do the incense. It's a nice ritual.
Yeah. We take the incense and we...
Yeah, lovely ritual before Mass gets started. Of course.
And then you ring the bell when he's coming in.
Yes, and then when he's doing the Blessed Sacrament as well, before he says this routine and he kneels, you ring the bell until, and then you know when you have to stop ringing the bell. And
3
then
times.
he stands up again. It was an amazing time for me. I think, it was just a nice...
It was for me too.
Yeah, it was a nice time serving the altar and getting to find myself.
One of the things I didn't like, in those days, you had mass at 6 o'clock sometimes, and you had to get up in the early mornings to do the early morning mass,
And you have to be there an hour before Mass to make sure everything
yes.
is okay, because the Mass has to be properly prepared. And you, as the acolyte, the altar server, you are like the priest's right hand.
Who was your matron?
Whom?
Who was your matron?
Campbell. Mr. I think Campbell Challenger. He was the one who organized us and coordinated us.
Yes.
Yes, him.
And make sure that the priest is okay.
Yeah, man. Mr. Challenger. We had a lady too, I think Etta was as well. And her husband, Eben, was the bell ringer. He and Bora, that's the man's name. They almost had a fist fight once to ring the bell, because they liked it so much that they almost fought to go ring the bell,
At one at midday, one at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, well, they rang the bell throughout the day.
Oh, okay, every hour.
Yeah, so you would know, and they would ring it bang, or if it's 6 o'clock, 6 times. Midday is 12 times. And if somebody died, there was a special ring they used to do. Bang, bang. So bang, bang, somebody died. If this is a high mass or celebration, they would dang, 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 dang. Or if a baby was born, there was another ring. So we knew what every bell meant. I even think they rang bell at times for certain arrival of certain dignitaries, and you would know as a villager that bell is talking about. Sometimes there was a major catch of fish, and you would get a bell. Sometimes during the feast of the feast as well, they would give you different kind of bells. So we grew up just listening to the bell, knowing what it is that was happening in the community.
And at that time, they were all white priests.
All white priests. My priest was Father Batty when I was an acolyte. A little rough, short, but a little rough around the edges. He would touch us sometimes, when we didn't pay attention. A bit regimental. But I liked it because those things I think helped me. So Father Batty was not shy to give us a little callot. Look up, pay attention. So I remembered him quite vividly.
And when you go to church, when you get by the pew, you kneel.
Oh yes, you had to kneel.
Make the sign
And
of
when
the
you
cross.
leave as well, yes. When you left as well, you cannot approach the pulpit and not kneel reverently. Bow. When you come in, when you leave, every time you approach the pulpit, you need to. It's a blessed, sanctified place.
Your church had any pool with fishes?
No, we didn't have any, but we had the crucifix and the routine, the different sequences of the crucifixion and the glass, the painted glass and stuff like that. But we didn't have fish. No.
What other rebellious things that you would have done in church as an acolyte?
Well, I can't tell you all the things I did as an acolyte.
Of course.
But I did some strange things. Should I even tell you what I did as an acolyte? I don't want to say all the bad things that I did.
I know as an acolyte the things that I did.
What's that?
I said as an acolyte I know the things that I did.
But you wouldn't tell us, would you?
I'm not the one being interviewed. You know.
If you had told me this was a tell-all show, I might have told you. But you didn't tell me it was a tell-all.
But by the way, did you drink the wine?
Oh, yes.
Well, because there was different wines, you know.
Yeah, there was the wine that everybody drank, and the priest drank a different wine.
Yeah. The wine is different.
The priest wine had thing in it. It was not...
In the process, you never thought of being, or you never thought of trying to be a priest or
Yes.
to become a priest?
I thought that I should have become a priest. But from an early age, I liked girls. Very early age, I was very fond of girls.
There's a difference between fond of girls and liking girls.
Oh, I was more than liking girls. I was fond of girls. Girls to me were amazing to be with and around. And then when I understood the joys of sex, they even were more fascinating.
So you couldn't take that life of celibacy.
I was told that you needed to do that, and as such, it wasn't going to work for me.
Now, on a Sunday, Alex, tell us what your meal would be like.
My meal?
Yes.
Oh, Sunday, that's when we had the best food. Red beans, mainly red beans, rice, chicken, the stuff that we scantily ate. So, drumstick, whole legs, a little back and neck stew with red beans on this side, food, provision, slice, right? Salad, orange juice, grapefruit juice, anything, squash. So Sundays was like that, the best of the best. And the only time we had imported chicken or food was on a Sunday. If we had a back and egg during the week, it was very rare, maybe on a Saturday. But Sunday, we had stew, we had red beans, we had provision, we had rice and salad. That was the day for the big meal.
Breakfast.
Breakfast on Sunday would be fashion, would be liver, would be black pudding.
Yes, black pudding.
Black pudding or rice pudding or any of the sort. Pig snout, right? Pig feet, bread.
So wait, by who would you all purchase those items like the fishing and the pig snout?
Oh, the fishing, and most of them come from Guadeloupe. We had a very good connection, close connection in the people from Guadeloupe. We used to go to Guadeloupe. I used to go to Guadeloupe as a boy. I went to Roseau first. But I almost went to Guadeloupe before I went to Roseau. And I think I went to Guadeloupe many more times than I went to Roseau in my boyhood days. The French people would come in on the boat and they used to take us boys and go up to Guadeloupe, sometimes marry gallant and come back the same day. In those days, customs was not an issue. And I saw a lot of things happen between Calibishie and Guadeloupe. So we would go to Guadeloupe and we would get our bidon of pig snout. The pig feet was coming from Roseau. We didn't much get pig feet from Guadeloupe. We got the pig snouts and the fishing and those stuff. That would come in from Guada most of the times. And the other stuff I mentioned, like the chicken and so, that would come from Roseau. We didn't go. There used to be transport. Vehicles would come, drive through, and we would buy the little small box of chicken. If you could afford it, or you could get a half a box or whatever. So we look forward to that as well.
And in the evening, you would have to have supper.
Yeah.
But because of the time that you would have had lunch, was it compulsory to have supper?
Yeah, well, supper was light. It was bread and tea. dry bread and tea, or if you have a little butter and tea, but bush tea, or anything light. We didn't eat heavy at nights. In fact, we were told that we should not eat past 6 o'clock. So my grandmother didn't eat past that time. And we as children were taught that eating too late is not good. So we couldn't eat at nights.
Mastiff.
Mastiff bread was the order of the day. And in those days, mastiff was mastiff, red. When you broke that bread, it used to be red and cola inside. So mastiff was a Dominican pastime. I'm not too sure whether we still have that kind of mastiff. But yeah, mastiff was a serious thing.
Now you talk about journeying to Guadeloupe or Marie-Galante. On what did you go?
What did I go for?
What did you go? On what was your
on
modality?
a Vedek, they call it, I think. It was a high-powered boat with 2 heavy motors at the back and a steering wheel. I had never seen the boats like that before. Our boats had little motors or oars, but the French boats were high-powered boats. Wow. And they would take us to Guadeloupe in record time. Record time.
Wow. Did you bring down banton or budget?
Banton and baguette. And the French people would give us the banton in our hand. Under our arm, we used to carry the banton. And we would leave Guadeloupe with banton and get to Calibishie, and the banton is still hot. Still hot. Wow. We'll bring almost everything you got. Anything from Guada. Anything whatsoever. There was no custom stopping us.
It was strange, from the vicar side. We used to say, boy, we're not eating banton from Guadeloupe because they used to put it under the arm.
Oh, well, that's what we used to. That's how they used to do it.
The Frenchman used to buy the banton and always have it under the arm.
We still eat that, man, in Roseau.
Yeah, man. The banton was a real nice.
Long bread. Long
so there was a
bread.
banton and a baguette, I remember.
The baguette was the thin one.
Right.
The thin one that had a nice taste.
What about the sausage? Did you all bring down French sausage?
Saucisson. Of course.
The red one.
Yeah,
the big, thick. They used to have two. The thick red ones and the slim one.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Just name it cheese. I remember in my day there was a tip-top cheese called Platini. Platini, a football from some guy who played soccer for France, for Guadeloupe somewhere. But his name was the name on the cheese. I remember that. Tip-top, whatever it is, but it was Platini's picture. So we brought that in a mass as well from Guadeloupe, and Jidiwe and all sorts of stuff from Guada. Yeah, man. We used to go to Guadeloupe regularly. It was a normal thing for us to just go. With no parent, nothing, Just go to Guadeloupe. Them Frenchmen used to like us because we used to help them with their little boats and anchor their boats and swim out and help them to catch titon. So they used to reward us because Calibishie has an area where the French people used to come and set tuemai,
yeah.
and they used to catch that fish name again, boy. Is it I forgot the name of that fish, boy. But they used to come then and just harvest that fish almost ever so often. So as little boys, we were the guys who went out there with them and helped them to do the little stuff they used to do.
No, we are just going in stages. We climb in. Public latrine.
Yes, there's a toilet in Calibishie. You see, if you go to Calibishie right now, there is a toilet on the sea.
Mm-hmm.
One of the only villages in Calibishie, in the Dominica, which still has one, or it had one. So I remember that toilet as a boy. There was a step from the toilet all the way to the beach, to the beachfront. And you would walk on that step, go onto that toilet, enter in, and help relieve yourself. But it would fall right in the sea. Right? If you go to Calibishie now, Saselo, look outside of the Christian church, you will see the structure still standing there. That was the old toilet built, and then we would walk on that step, and everybody go there, and that fall in the sea. And that's where you used to find the most fish. Fish would come around there. We would fish there and catch our fish.
And you'll still eat the fish?
But of course. That's where the fish was, biting. So we'd go there and catch our fish, and eat our fish. But everybody used to use that toilet. And go there.
What about your preview at home then?
Oh, well, we were a little more affluent than some, although we didn't have much. And we had a flushing toilet. We had a little flushing toilet. In Woodford Hill, we had a pit latrine, the one that the cockroaches spend some time in. And if you are not very careful and you stoop too close,
ants.
red
Red ants.
But that too, and your bell could be wrong by cockroaches as well.
Not just cockroaches, the big ones.
Yeah.
What about mabuya? You ever saw them?
Yes, they used to fall on. They used to stick when they fall on you, and they used to be on the fetai kai. I was scared of mabuya, and they said when the mabuya fall on you, it sticks on you. To get it off, you had to put a hot metal, a hot iron or so on it. Yeah, so I did that, Cecil. I did the pit toilet, I did the flushing toilet, I did the toilet on the sea. I also did the crab hole.
Yes, all boys in the country did that.
Yeah, so we go over a crab hole, we aim over it, and we did it.
And most time under the salmon tree, you get the crab holes.
Yeah. Sometimes we would climb the tree as well, and we would stay from the tree and do it down. It would fall flat. Yeah, so we did, and then some guys used to do it in the river as well, and it washes down. You would see the little floaters going down. So,
and mealy would be behind it.
yes,
They call it mealy kaka.
Mile kaka, yeah, and we would fish the mile with zaboka and catch them too and enjoy them. They were sweet.
Yeah. No, the kitchen. We know of the gal. We know of the freestone. We know of the pumping stove. Tell us.
I did all. I did 3 stones. We didn't have any metal thing over the stones. It was 3 stones balanced properly and with the wood. We had coal pot as well, but again, that was for people who could afford coal pot. The stove, the pumping stove, yes, I did that as well. It was a kind of a roundish stove, and you had to pump until it gets hard. When it gets hard, you could light it, and then the fire starts going low. You pump again. So we did that too. We did the gas stove as well. And then we have electric stove and microwave right now. But I did the entire shebang from the little galta. In fact, we didn't have a kitchen at first. We had a drum that was built into a fiedife. And when it was raining, my grandmother would put a galvanized kind of a slanted over with a stick to support it. And wherever the rain was flashing, that would cover our little food on the fire. And then we had a galta, a kitchen, which was enclosed, and there was a net at the top of the fireplace, and that's where they used to put the
metal net,
the meats to dry.
To dry, yeah.
And they would put either green fig at the top of the meat or green leaves, and they would shake the meat. So even while you have the food on fire, the meat was there, and sometimes the grass of the meat would fall in the pot, and so to give it the flavor as well. I remember that quite vividly.
What about the fridge? Did you have
kerosene fridge?
Kerosene, okay.
Yeah, we started for kerosene fridge. Very noisy, a little untidy, but it worked. Hardly barely made ice, but it kept certain things chilled. So it was a big kind of a semi-roundish fridge. I remember that. Of course, then we got an electric fridge when our house was wired by Lindo and lights came to the village. My grandfather was, he was somebody in the community. We didn't have everything, but he had more than many other people. So we had a fridge eventually and a regular gas stove. We had the 100-pound cylinder outside. And whenever you had that in the village, you were bourgeois.
Yes,
so we had it.
Yes.
We had the 100.
Anyhow, you had 100 pounds. So
you're a big man.
So you were one of the big men in
the society,
in the community of that.
My grandfather was a big shot. Yeah, Nibs Alexander, may he rest well. So, but we didn't have everything because at the time the relationship with him and my grandmother, his wife, was not the best. So many times she had to fend. But we had those things growing up. So people felt we were bourgeois. But I didn't feel it. I didn't know the difference between me and my friends because I used to share everything I have with my friends.
And light would come in Calibishie like in 1985, thereabout?
Before 1975, 1976.
What? In Calibishie?
Yep.
So you tell me that light came in Calibishie before it came in Vickers?
Yeah, my house was wired by Lindo Challenger in 1975. I remember Lindo wiring our house, and shortly after that we had lights. So we had lights in the 70s. Yeah. I remember that very vividly.
Someone said to me that the stove, they used to call it the Procast, the Progress. Pro-gas stove, yes. We had 2 kitchens, a new kitchen and an old kitchen. Wow, and the galta along with a coconut house.
Yeah.
No, in reference to the mud, for instance, in Vickers, we had the yellow mud. In Calibishie, you would have had black mud or yellow mud?
Red.
Black red mud.
Black and red mud. But in the village part, in the lower part where I grew up, we didn't have mud. I had never had mud. I never experienced mud until I went to Kwekoko or one of the ridges. So we were not people of Labu. We were sand people. And that was a difference. So if you come from the Labu, you are a different strata. If you come from the sand, you're a different strata as well. Woodford Hill had mud. Marigot, Wesley. We in Calibishie on the flat kind of felt we were a bit more affluent because we didn't have to deal with the mud. So when we went to Roseau, we were not embarrassing anybody. Well, we didn't go in for our shoes red. But the people from the country, boy, when they landed in Roseau, man, streaks of mud on the street.
Especially if you left the country and it was raining. You know, you had to ensure you had a cutlass in the truck.
Yes, and then at the house, next to the step, before you enter the step, there was a cutlass, an old cutlass, between two sticks, and that's where you would clean your foot. And then there was the bag, the sugar bag. That was the mat, and
the crocus bag.
Yeah, wipe your foot on the mat. Yes, to enter before you enter. Yeah, it was a nice kind of an interesting thing. But I don't think most of people liked the Labu. They didn't like the mud.
Yes,
they didn't like us when we came to
because that mud was thick.
Yeah, man, and it's staining, man. It would stain your clothes, man.
Let's get a look inside the house, the bedroom. What mattress did you sleep on?
Oh, I was born on a wire mattress. The mattress that they had wire, spring wire.
Dunlop. I think it's called a Dunlop.
Yeah, you have wire.
I'm not sure the name, but I had mattress. Some children didn't have mattress.
So
so I was born on a wire mattress, and at the time when the mattress wears out, the wires prick you.
Yeah.
So that's I was born of that, and it made a lot of noise.
So you were not fortunate to have cocoa mattress.
I never slept on that mattress. My mom maybe.
Well, you miss a good time.
What about bedding? You never slept on bedding?
Oh yeah, down on the floor. Before I graduated to mattress, I slept on the floor with my brothers and sister. So we all lined up, and then we had sleeping bags. So we had little bags. It was a manual bag that we used to clean nicely.
A manual bag?
Yes, it used to be very clean. Or a
crocus bag?
No, the flower bag.
Flower bag. The how do you call it? Flower bag. Nelson.
Yes.
The Nelson flower bag.
So either that or the manual bag, but it used to be very clean and white. Okay. So we used to sleep in our little bags that kept us warm on bedding.
Let me ask you another question. Did you ever wear sliders now?
No, we didn't have that in my day.
No sliders?
No.
Even when you go to church?
We only wore it for church.
Right.
For church and to go Roseau and those places. But as little boys, no. I didn't. I mean, I had my pants on, but no, we didn't go through sliders every day. No. It wasn't a luxury that I...
No, while everybody's talking about black sand, Calibishie was talking about white sand.
Calibishie, white sand. All over. Well, we have one black sand beach, black area in Swai area, but generally all the beaches in Calibishie is white. White sand. And Calibishie is a beach, again, the front of Calibishie is a beachfront, a beach community. And everybody who is from Calibishie can swim. Someone drowned in Calibishie some time ago, a few months ago, and I told myself that is not a Calibishie person. Calibishie people don't drown. We swim like fish. And it so happened that it was a foreigner, a white guy, whoever it is, who met with his untimely demise.
As a matter of fact, some time ago I was in Calibishie, and man, I couldn't believe, brain, the distance in which somebody was actually walking in the sea and wasn't passing the knees.
What about that? Now, I find it strange that people can walk almost half a mile into this Calibishie.
Yeah, there's a phenomenon that happens over there that because we'll call it bass when the bass dry. But it's a low tide, a high tide kind of thing. And you as a Calibishie person knows when the tide is low or when it's high to get out of there. So we would know and we would go there and catch fish. Just walk out there and go and cut fish on that would trapped when the bass comes up. It's a kind of a thing that happened. I never was able to understand it, but we knew that there was a particular cycle. And you go there, you walk out almost as far as you would like to, but when the sea comes back out, you must be very careful that it doesn't engulf you. So you have to time your entrance back to the beach so that the sea does not rise back to its regular size. So again, I do not know geographically what it really is, but we in Calibishie wouldn't wanted fish, and we wanted to recreate, play cricket as well. We would get the time, do it, and finish before the sea comes back up.
No, shops, little Lulus.
Oh, yes.
Rum shops.
Every Calibishie shop was a rum shop. Well, there was a rum component to it. So the oldest shop in Calibishie was Mackie Kit shop. The shop is still around. Jean was the owner. Jean died recently. Mackie Kit, that's the oldest shop I remember in Calibishie. Very famous. And it had a rum area to it. Mayonnaise, Maedmon, Dula. Just name it. Calibishie had at least maybe 12 to 15 shops in my time. Maybe more. And all the shops had a buku of rum. And there was an old man who would be stationed by that buku, and that was their job, to siphon rum from that buku. They were paid in rum. And they would take out like a 3/4 pail of rum and mix it with a 1/4 pail of water to make up. And the social activities took place on and around the buku in every shop. One of the things I saw, Cecil and Brain, and again for me it was a norm, but now looking back it was a social problem, where almost every Calibishie man would drink and get drunk almost every day, and the young boys had to take them home. So it was a kind of a chronic problem growing up, knowing the fellas getting drunk.
Okay.
Now in hindsight, looking back, I think it spoke about an issue in the society. Again, I'm not a sociologist. Brain could help me there. But it was a norm. Drinking and getting inebriated was a standard way of life for us growing up, especially for the older folks. My grandmother was one of those who drank and get drunk almost every day. And to us, we just had to make, when she got a little rum colic, fix her, get her situated, put her to sleep and wake her up, for her bath, and then she's okay next day.
I'm sure that you remember some of the lines that the drunkards would have been using, or singing, or saying.
You could have to sing,
They would stagger and walk down the road, and there was one called Henny, and we would call him Henny, the old penny. And he would say, "What are you doing? Are you calling me or are you mocking me?" And we would say, "We are calling you." He would say, "Okay, I thought you were mocking me." And he would continue going down. No, he was cool. Paquin. There's another one. He was a saluter. And you would talk to him. He would say, "Paquin." He'd say, "Yes, who is it?" And they would have the different mannerisms. Some would be ugly in terms of their language. Paquin, whatever. And Daya Nella Massicot, born in 1910. She was one of the famous ones. Very filthy mouth. She would curse police and all. And there was a time that she was charged. Who police going to charge Daya and bring Daya to court in the magistrate court in Portsmouth? And they called in Daya name Nella Massicot. Daya don't answer, Nella Massicot. When she was fed up, she said, "Whatever, mama." The magistrate said, "What? You are brought here for cursing and you're cursing me?" Case dismissed. He said he cannot be ready to have a problem. She cannot come in the court and curse him. He dismissed the case and he asked for the police to charge Daya, and said, "But you cannot do that. She is cursing me. Young lady, you can go back to Calibishie." And she come back saying, "I curse him." So she too was a character. Tebe, who was my baba. There were two babas, Power and Tebe. Tebe was the baba for the smaller boys, and Power was the baba for the bigger boys. So we couldn't go at the big boy baba. We had to graduate to Power. But Tebe used to leave us and go and drink. And Tebe comes back an hour after, drunk, and holding your head and shaking your head, giving you half kind of a cut. So he too was an interesting character as well. So all of them had their own characteristic.
In those days, you would have heard young men involved in smoking of marijuana. Was that an issue in Calibishie at any given time?
Our problem was rum. It was more rum. Marijuana was not a big problem in Calibishie. What became a problem in Calibishie was hard substances.
That's later.
Huh?
That's later.
Yes. We never had a marijuana problem. A few guys used to smoke. But it never became an issue. The biggest issue we had was hard substances. And of course, liquor, which was, I guess, a liquid substance that affected the community. But the trading and dealing of drugs ruined lots of lives in Calibishie. Mine could have gotten that way, but I chose not to go down that path. And if there were 10 guys in my age group at the time, I think just 2 of us survived. most of my peers died or just disappeared. We do not know what happened, but they went out and they didn't come back.
Wow.
I mean, 90% of my peers just never came back. And that was very sad for me. I never had closure. I never saw them after. But I know they were doing stuff, and they just never came back.
No, the garden, that there were farmers. Like, for instance, in Vekas, you have yam, you have tanya, you have bananas. What did you all cultivate in Calibishie?
Same. Yam, tanyas, the works, just as Vekas. But we were very big on bananas for export. So I think Calibishie was one of the biggest communities in terms of bananas for export. And yams.
Ladies yam or?
Yam jaune.
Uh-huh.
Yam jaune. That was the nicest kind of yam.
Mm-hmm.
Yam. We had
What
yam
about
blanc.
Babaoule?
Yeah, Babaoule as well. But Babaoule is now big money. In Calibishie, that was like a wishy-washy thing. But yam jaune, we were big. Calibishie was big on creating yam jaune. Very, very.
The ladies yam.
Yes. That's what it is, the ladies yam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big on that.
Let me ask him a question there. What about, I noticed that there are two big men who have a lot of land in Calibishie. The Amos. Did your people and them work
Oh, yeah, man.
on those estates?
We grew up on those estates, man. Well, not just the Amos, the RBD to have land in Hampstead.
Hampstead,
The
yeah.
entire Hampstead. So we grew up between big plantation society. And everybody who's somebody worked on this plantation until people start buying land and developing their own farms and doing their own stuff. But before people had their land, it was estate life. In Woodford Hill as well, on Geese Estate. So it was estate work at the time before people start acquiring. And when Geese actually start selling land, people started buying land and then they start creating their own garden. But before that was a good question, Brain. It was all estate work.
Oh, yeah, because
With overseers and so doing and taking care of
So you had different stratas on the estate where you had the managers or the overseers looking after those women working.
Yes. And I remember that quite vividly.
Did you ever work there?
I was too young to work, but I went with my mom, who used to work there. She used to do tasks.
Oh,
So she used
tasks.
to take a stick and measure 1, 2, 3 tasks. And then her job was to clean that 3 tasks. All the way down, all the way across. And no matter what time she's done, her day is done. And the men would do more tasks than the women. And my mom also would go to pick coconut and carry coconuts to peel them and so on. So yeah, everybody had a different allocation of work to do in a different category. My mom was a laborer. That's what she was.
Goblins.
What you call it?
What about goblins?
What is that?
What the thing that we used to put the water in?
Oh, the goblets.
Oh, sorry, goblets. Thank
Goblets.
you. Goblets. Yeah, goblets. What did I say?
We used to make of
Goblets.
clay.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, we had that too. And that used to keep the water cold and very nice. But not very many people had that. People who could afford. We had one, but not very many people had that. We used to carry our water.
You serious? Because I know in those days, I mean, everybody would have had that.
In Roseau.
Not
In,
everybody
no,
in
in,
Calibishie had
talking about
goblets.
if you go to Vikas, everybody would have had that.
Oh, but
I don't think everybody in Calibishie
no,
had
boy.
goblets.
Goblet was a special thing too, you know. You had to be
Probably.
of a certain stature, you know, to have
Yeah.
that goblet. You'd have a bucket.
Yeah, a bucket or them used pails
Pails.
that use stuff.
No, well, I know. In the area, especially where I came from, in,
Oh, yeah.
in Tobino, everybody
Oh.
would have had that.
Oh.
You know.
Well, certain areas, no, it's pails.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So go ahead. You're saying, Alex, not everybody had a goblet.
No, not everybody, but I can remember it, and it was made of, I guess, clay, and it would keep the water very, very cool. But I remember to Cecil that we used to carry water in dashing leaf too.
Yes.
You know, we would go there to the dashing leaf and come and pour it in the thing and go back and pour it in the thing and go back until we fill it up. As
Especially
well.
especially if you get it in the sus.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. No, Alex. Transportation from Marigot people, when they had to bring bananas, they would pass through Calibishie. Calibishie people themselves, they would have to go to Portsmouth.
Portsmouth, Longhouse.
Tell us about the trade of bananas in that
Oh,
community
boy.
to Portsmouth.
Those days were big, beautiful days. Vehicles, we used to call them lorries. So Wesley was very famous for the 3 tons and 4 tons and 5 tons trucks. Marigot too. So on banana days, it used to be on a Thursday and Friday. And when bananas was being harvested, Calibishie was very, very busy and thriving. So for the entire 2 days, almost non-stop, trucks would pass, lorries would pass, and it was just a joy to stand up. Sometimes trucks would stop, and they would socialize with people, buy drinks. So Calibishie made a lot of business because of the banana trade. The roads were not fixed as yet until the 1980s, so they would stop, slow down in the little holes, and the springs would say crack, 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 and we would hop those trucks and go all the way to the Calibishie police station, or that little hill, and get off the trucks sometimes there, and walk back, and then hop on another truck to go there again and walk back. So these were interesting times, and they were booming times. There were times when people were making money on bananas, and Calibishie was like in the center of the activities.
Then you start to grow, get bigger. Now your dream is to get to Roseau. What was the first task when you get to Roseau that you decided that you're going to do?
When I got to Roseau, I came as a youth cricketer. So I came to play cricket for Dominica, and I played on the national youth team. Well, I didn't play youth cricket as a national youth player, but I made the trial squad for 4 years in a row, under 19. And I didn't make it. I couldn't make the team because fellas like Anthony Scotland, Delvin Esprit, Schwau, Albert Teixeira, Timothy, Geoffrey Lafont, Clay John, and those guys. These guys were Darwin Telemac. They were established cricketers. There were no vacancies. So no matter how good I was, I couldn't make the team. So after I expired, because at 19 you cannot be under 19 anymore, I tried out for Dominica, and I made the Dominican national team, the 17-man squad, and they reduced us to 13 to travel to St. Lucia. So I didn't make the 13 team to go to St. Lucia, but I made the national team. And after I didn't make the 13, I felt very disillusioned, and I retired from playing cricket. I never played cricket past 20 years. If I had played, probably I might have gone further, but I just stopped playing cricket. So I came to Roseau to play cricket at first. And again, when I realized what was happening, I felt I should maybe come to Roseau to try to leave, but I had nobody in Roseau, and I couldn't find the means of staying in Roseau until after, when I was 21. When I had my first son, I decided I have to give myself a man and come to work. So when I came to Roseau the first time, I came to DBS and I asked for a job, because I was listening to people on the radio and I wanted to be like them, because I'm a good talker, I think, and I wasn't qualified for the job. I was told that. No, I mean, I was very rough. I was not as refined as I am today in terms of my speaking, and I was a bit unkempt. From the country, you didn't look like as sharp. So I was dismissed, and I think I got a job in selling insurance, Clico, Colonial Life Insurance Company, and I think Miss Roll was there, and then she groomed me. She told me how you should dress and how I should speak, and she taught me life as a city guy. So I started dressing, and she said, yeah, that's how you have to look, and so on. And she trained me to sell insurance, to the point, Cecil, where I left there as a member of the $1 Million Round Table. When I left insurance, I had made $1 million and more. I guess you had to qualify in terms of sale. And it was the $1 Million Round Table achievement that I had done. And I was very proud of that.
Alex, it seems that we both had almost the same path, because I also too was a life underwriter. Yeah. And when I left in 88, I too was around the same $1 million mark.
Yeah, so 87, I came to town, and 88, yeah, same time. And I made $1 million in a record time. I think Martin Charles was also with the company that I was with. And it was, when you made the $1 million round table, you could travel overseas to meet with the other people who made the round table as well. So that was fun for me, but I didn't like it. I never liked sales. Never really did like sales. People think I'm a good salesman. I never really liked it. Never was crazy about it. So I moved on from that, and I decided to join the police force.
How to hear about this one, Alex? This one sounds very interesting. The way you said this, with a joy in your face,
yeah.
to become a constable.
Because in the village, I was a police boy. I slept, and I spent a lot of time in the police station. To the point where the police would leave the station with me in charge of the station, even before I was 18.
Wait, the chief is here, you know?
No, but it was a known fact. The Calibishie police would leave me as a boy, 16-year-old boy in the station. And there was an officer, I won't call his name, who taught me to disassemble and assemble the German Luger, 9mm. And I also operated the 303 rifle as well. Handle it. And I would be left there and in charge. This corporal at the time would say, Alex, you're in charge. And I would take messages when people come and say, so I was a police boy. And the boys who didn't like police didn't like me. So I chose the right side, I think. So when I left Calibishie, I said, well, I'm going to join police. 1990, Cecil Joseph. And I applied to be a police. Again, I don't have degree and qualification. So I had to write an entrance examination for the police. Fellas like Corbett, I think he's acting commissioner or deputy commissioner.
Deputy.
He was in my course number 17. He was a bright boy. He still is a bright guy. So he didn't need to write the entrance examination for the police. But I had to write it at the CSA Center. And then I passed it. And then they had to give us a physical. Squeeze our little, testicles, make sure we're tall enough. And then I passed. And I got enlisted in the police service. Recruit number 224. And we were sent to Monbruce. Boy, happy moments.
I like your number. Recruit number 224. So
remember,
I might just call you 224.
Yeah,
so anytime you hear me say 224, just do it. I'm calling.
I remember every word. So I went up to Monbruce. And the commandant was Burnaby. And Al P was one of the top guys there as well. And Derek Hunter St. Cruz was on my course. We had to trim each other at the time, and we started to get our uniform issued, and we started having a good time. I think a few days or a couple of weeks in, I was summoned. Constable Bruno A. During our meals. So I say, yes, sir. Say, when I call your name, you stand and respond. I say, yes, sir. Say, after breakfast, you will pack your stuff and wait to be accompany me to the commissioner. Say, but when that happens, trouble. Pack my stuff with him and tell me, leave your uniform on the bed, get the rest of your personal essentials, and you will be accompanied. So like an officer come into the vehicle, in my military style, and we went down to the commissioner, stand in front, Commissioner Pierre. Valerie was the deputy, and Valerie had a paper. Eloi, who was in special branch, was there as well. And Alpi fall in. And Alpi say, salute the commissioner. I salute the commissioner. And he say, Recruit Constable Bruno A., it is alleged that you're a delegate of the United Workers' Party, and under such conditions, you would have to be released until such time that this is ironed out. So I'm like, delegate. Workers had just came on the scene in 1988. 1999, I joined the police force. But I remember at a time when workers came to Calibishie with Edgar Jerome, who was my boss at the time, because I work at Northeastern Timbers. Edgar became a politician. He have a new vehicle. I've taken my foot with Edgar. So I going around with the man. In Calibishie, when he came to Calibishie, Cecil, I introduced him. Ladies and gentlemen, Edgar Jerome for the, that time the Calibishie was with Wesley. Calibishie was with Paybush now. From the Wesley constituency, I introduced my boss. So that was enough for the people in Calibishie to think that I was against freedom. And they reported me to the commissioner. The commissioner was a big freedomite maybe. He decided to fire me from the police force. For that week, Cecil.
That is amazing what you're saying, Alex.
No, I'm telling you.
No, Alex.
I never spoke about that,
Alex, that is amazing.
I never spoke about that.
And I'll stop just there. I will stop just there for the people who are actually hearing what you have just said. And I'm not going to say nothing more because I was going to say something more that some person will take me at task, and I don't want to mix our discussion into current politics.
No, I'm telling you, that's what happened.
That's how you're dismissed?
That's how I was dismissed. So I started being wobbly. So Alpi say, sir, the recruit constable needs to sit. Let him stand.
Alex, you're not talking the truth.
Cecil, no joke. I never discussed that publicly. I'm only sharing that with you. So I stood, and then he said, stand easy. So I stand easy, so I could balance myself. He said, what do you have to say for yourself? I said, well, there's no. I said, what does delegate mean? I didn't know. So he said, if there's nothing else, you're dismissed. And Alpi tell me, well, so Alpi tell him, just like that, sir, you're dismissing my best recruit? Just like that? He said, yes. So I left. Alpi said, well, Alpi asked me where I want to go. I said, Alpi, well, I can't go Calibishie because I used to take my foot on fellas so much down there. If I go back there, they'll kill me. So I'm not going back.
Before you go, hear what someone has just said. Hear what someone just said. Very interested. Another person said, "Oh my God, Alex, first time I hear that." Can you imagine? That explains a lot.
Telling you, that's it. So I say I'm not going back village because I used to be going around with them police officers, picking up fellas. I used to be doing my little fatigues with them. So I said I'm not going back to Calibishie. I went to River Street by a girl called Shirley. Shirley, I think she was friendly to Spider. And I had knew her through a friend, a mutual friend. I go by Shirley and I crash. I tell Shirley I was fired from the police force and boy, I start to cry. I start to cry. Shirley says, "No, stay with me." Shirley wiped my face and I stayed by Shirley in River Street, close to where Jake's had the bakery there, for about a week or two. And I started hustling. Started finding little things to do. Hustle. I decided I'm not going back to Calibishie. And I never went back to live in Calibishie since then. I did my little hustle. I did insurance thing, as I told you. I did little radio thing. I went to VOI. All them little hustle I did. Because I decided I need to make something for myself. So I lost my job and I got paid. I think I got a month or 2 months paid, Cecil. And that was the biggest amount of money I ever saw in my life. So I was happy that I got the money, but I was sad that I was not going to continue getting it. And that's the story of your boy in terms of how he lost his job as a police.
Boy, this is an amazing story, Brain.
But it's not amazing. You know, I myself was transferred. Like I said, I was supporting the Labour Party. I was sent all the way to Calypso.
Yeah.
So people are saying what they want.
Freedom
But
Party
I
was
myself,
fierce. They were fierce.
I was
fierce.
transferred.
And I was not the only person who lost
No,
my job.
I was teaching at the Goodwill Primary School, and I was sent to Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and from Calypso, I was sent to Geopolitics. What are you talking about? You're learning it for the first time. It happened.
Alex, I'm stunned, you know.
No, I'm telling you, man. And as I give it to you, still, I almost remember verbatim, just exactly as I told you. And I know later on who in Calibishie actually called and tell him. And the commissioner didn't do any other thing investigation. Fire me, why? Because I'm a delegate because when you're on probation, I guess that first 6 months,
yes.
they can just get rid of you unceremoniously. So Tony Astafans, my partner, I love Tony. Tony called me and said, "You should sue them. You will win." And Tony had a matter going up for me as well. But after a while, I got a job at the Nature Island Airline with Gary Ed. And I didn't need to fight for my job anymore. I became an airline operator. I went to Switzerland to study airline business. So I didn't worry about it. But I could have made some money. And even now, I went back to the police station the other day, and I said, I want to know why I was fired. I want a letter because I was listed in the police force. They say, "Yeah, we're listed, but they've not seen anything of my file there." Because they gave my number to Lawrence after they fired me.
Who have your number?
Lawrence.
You mean Lawrence, who is now superintendent?
Superintendent Lawrence.
He have your number?
Yeah, 224.
He has my number.
224.
Yeah. So he was the one.
When
who
next I see Lawrence,
That's
I'll
breaking
look to
news,
see.
man.
No, he don't carry number anymore. They don't carry
Oh,
number.
yeah, he's a superintendent, that's correct.
From up, they don't carry number. But
But
from,
that was his number.
Yeah.
yeah, that was my number. He got my number and I think my file. So they didn't keep my file. So I asked them for a letter. I said, I want to sue the police force. I want my letter. But I didn't get it. So I just left it alone. And I told them, if anything happens and I die, make sure you give me my at least one gun salute. Because I was a police for
A few weeks. Yeah, man.
They clip your wings, man.
yeah, man, just like that.
So you mean they took you from the barracks, brought you to the commissioner,
Yeah.
and made a complaint on you,
Right away.
Yes.
not sure of the facts.
No facts. No hearing, nothing. And send me home. Just like that. In about 5-10 minutes. No hearing, no nothing, no nothing.
I want you to repeat, Alex, when the officers said to you, I think, what were you having lunch?
It was breakfast.
Breakfast.
Burnaby. It says, Constable, they used to call Recruit Constable Bruno A. So I heard him. I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "When I call your name, you answer. You stand and answer."
That's how he speaks.
So I stand up. He said, "After breakfast, you will pack your stuff, leave your uniform, and accompany me to the commission."
So he knew exactly what was going to
I was
happen.
not coming back.
And you're not aware.
No. But Hunter told me, When I left, they realized I was in trouble. So fellas, I got new issue. Some fellas got old uniform. I got my new belt, new everything. So fellas that wanted stuff, dive on my stuff. And I think Hunter maybe end up getting my belt or whatever Hunter got. But they knew I was not coming back. That's not unusual. That's very unusual to just have a recruit go down and pack their stuff. But I didn't know. I really thought I was coming back up to Monbruce, my brother. And I never saw Monbruce after that. Boy, I was sick, Cecil, depressed. So when I arrived in front of Mr. Pierre, Ensley Pierre, he said, we receive information and a complaint from someone whom we can trust. And it is alleged that you're a delegate of the United Workers' Party. And under such condition, you are going to be released until further investigations or whatever.
Any investigation was done?
Huh?
Any investigation was done?
No! Nothing. I'm telling you. So I was sent home.
So you got no letter to say that you...
No letter, my brother. It had nothing. No letter. So I have nothing to show them that they fire me. Word of mouth. So I say, okay. I go and I cry for about 2 weeks. And I decide to catch myself up. I almost lost it in a sense. I mean, my dream had come, And I made myself after that. Yeah. But that's how it happened. No, there was no hearing. I didn't meet with anybody, any disciplinary committee, nothing.
So how you got your job though at VOI?
VOI was with Mr. Edward Alexander. Because when I was fired from the UWP, they used me as a big excuse to say victimization and freedom party. So they start calling my name. And look at the man, they fired him, whatever. So Ed Alexander was a member of UWP. And he told me, if I want to look a job, check him at VOI. So through him, I went to VOI. It was a Catholic radio station. It wasn't paying a lot, but it was not even to be on air. It was to help him to host sports rap. So I would be on the console, and Mr. Frampton taught me how to control the console. I would put calls for he and Ozzy live. Until at one point in time, Ed was not there, and Ozzy was there, and I interacted with Ozzy live. So Ozzy was speaking, and then I just put on my mic and asked Ozzy a question. And I never stopped asking questions after that. Ozzy said, you have a nice voice. And you ask intelligent questions. And he told Mr. Alexander he must keep me on to ask questions and to interject. So that's why my voice was first heard. I spent 2 years there. I left in 1992. I started there. That's where I met Ferdinand. Ferdinand was not yet on radio. She was a little younger than me. She was with Joan Frampton in my Frampton home. And Ferdinand Frampton was there. So we used to go there. We used to talk. So we became friends from there. May she rest well. And then I left VOI and came to Kyrie, when Kyrie opened up in 1994. Because Esley, who was Govey's girlfriend, heard my voice and said, I have a nice voice and I'm exciting. And Govey said, well, if he good, if my woman say he good, bring him. And I came to Govey. Govey put me on the radio. And 2 years after, I came to DBS with Dennis Joseph and Wadix. The same DBS that had refused me on many occasions because I was unqualified. But because of the skills and the way they heard me speaking, I became, qualified. And Dennis Joseph was offered a job, I think it was 1996.
Yeah, 1996, as manager.
And Dennis said that he will come, but he needs to have Wadix and me come with him as part of the deal. And I guess we came, and some saw it and again felt it was politics. It was Dennis and workers put him there, and my appointment was political again. I never really knew about politics all them times there. But we came there because of that. Me and Wadix are special announcers. And the rest is history, Cecil. I became full-time on the establishment. I did what I had to do at DBS. And then we can talk about what I did after that. Mm-hmm. But that is how I got into radio from VOI, Kyrie FM, and DBS. Still yet unqualified.
So give us your experience at the various radio stations, what you were able to bring to the table.
So VOI was my intuitiveness and my inquisitivity. And of course I come from the church background, so I was an acolyte, and I brought that, the sanctimonious part of the thing. Mm-hmm. So we would speak about stuff. And the priest and the nun liked me because I came from the background of the church. And there were times when the rosary would be done and I would participate. So I brought that as well, and production. I started voicing ads and producing ads. Moses Raphael Jr., Matt Peltier Jr., I think Pearl Christian and others were there as well. So I was the handyman, so to speak, doing almost everything. Matt and Moses was more news. I was with production with Mr. Ed and like broadcast and do stuff. So that was VOI. At Kyrie FM, I was a drive time guy. I was one of the pillars of the station. Franklin Moses, me, myself, Alvin Knight was at Kyrie at the beginning as well. So I brought Kyrie became a kind of new sound, FM sound, and I was part of that. So we did all the primetime shows, and I did this Calypso stuff, a lot of Calypso work, and people like Hurricane would come to release their songs with me on Kyrie FM. So that was nice, more music and entertainment and news. And then I came to DBS, and that's when I actually got my initiation into being a national broadcaster, and my skill as an announcer, my skill as an outside broadcaster, as a production person as well. All that was brought into the picture. I didn't start as a full-time staff. I started as a special announcer, Cecil, as you remember. And I got on the establishment on a technicality, because Dennis had given me a 3 months or 6 months contract. And I guess after the election, I was discontinued. But my lawyer successfully fought to say, well, he had a contract that was illegal. It was too short. And in any case, he was there for 6 months, so he became appointed in the role. That's why I became part of the DBS body. And, we work it out. And again, the rest is history. I spent about how many years DBS? At DBS, I said
about 10 years?
96 to 2006.
Yeah, 2006.
2010.
Like 14 years.
14 years at DBS, man.
Yeah, 14 years.
Good days. So the 25th anniversary of DBS, I was instrumental in organizing that. I think Sherman was the chair of the committee. I was the vice chair. And we had a major 25th anniversary thing, if you remember.
Yes.
Well.
And also to Alex, many persons might not remember, but I remember that yourself, Nigel Francis, Curtis Matthew, and myself, we covered Calypso tents whenever there were tents in any part of Dominica. You remember that?
Anyway, and we also, during my time, took the last bandhouse practice live. That's where we started this.
Yes.
Where we took the radio to the bandhouse.
Yes.
Novelty that had never been done before. You kept it, right?
Yes, I'm still doing it.
So that was something that was started in our time. And we had this Calypso talk. I mean, we did a lot in terms of promoting Calypso. Some people didn't understand the role that DBS actually had to play and still does play when it comes to the coverage, the responsible coverage of Calypso. And
in 2005, we found ourselves going on the Bayfront to carry the elimination. Nobody was doing that before.
No one was covering eliminations. Yes. And we were there on the Bayfront, right down there.
Yes.
We did it live there as well. And other things that we would have done. So DBS had been very much involved.
And you were very much involved in the in this program, 100 Great Dominicans in production.
Yeah, that was started in fact, Cecil, I did a thing called Positively Dominica on the
Positively Dominica, that's correct.
And the 100 Great Dominicans was kind of a production instead of the live.
It was every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday night, 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
And that was where we did big programs.
Interviewed big people.
Big people, man. It was a real amazing. In fact, that program won an award.
Yes.
An award.
With CBU.
Yeah, we won an award. So, yeah, but we did a lot of big things. And Cecil, I think we continue to do big things at DBS. And I can only wish the station well. I will always be a national broadcaster, no matter what I do, no matter where I go.
No, Alex, you have also gone beyond. So just imagine, according to some people, that you're not qualified. But you found yourself to be qualified, where presently you are a professor. Help us to have a greater understanding. But before I do that, let me hear what...
No. I want to take him away from that still.
Let
me take you into the world of theatre.
Yes. Oh,
yes.
Let me take you into the world of theatre.
Oh,
how
boy.
did you arrive there?
Oh, boy.
Because I saw quite a number of your production.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
Thanks for the opportunity. Well, theatre started with me in Calibishie. There was a theatre company in Calibishie, very thriving theatre company. And I said, I'm putting on a play called The Exorcist. And I was thrilled. I didn't know how it worked, but I knew I wanted to do it. And Alwyn Bully, who became one of my mentors, was in play business. I had never seen any of his plays, but I heard about him. So I started acting. I went to do a production with Nigel. We went to Carry Festa 7. I didn't get the best of treatment. And when I came back in 1999, I had gone to Miami. I met a guy called Emil Paben-Serra. And he had always been connected with the communities up there. So I tell him, I just came from Carry Festa representing Dominica. I didn't like the way things went down. I think I want to do something different to treat people better. So I formed a company called Theatre Power, formed in Florida, and we did our first play, kind of as you were, exciting play. And we came to Arawak, to Dominica. We sold out. Made a lot of money on that play. It was an interesting play. But I was not a playwright as yet. I was just trying a thing. Then I did another play called Negmawan, again on my own. I got some collaborators. It didn't come out well. And after that, I had to go back to the drawing board because Dr. Honeychurch gave me a scathing rebuke. Because I used his name and he didn't like how the play came out. Oh boy, that was a rebuke, which was good for me because I felt, okay, I have to do better. So I withdrew, I retreated, I took a break. I said, I'm never going to write plays again until Noreen Joseph picked me up and she said, you cannot quit. And Noreen held my hand and Noreen said, that is how you write. And she explained to me the sequence of writing, the beats, the characterization. And she said, if you want help, Alwyn is going to be here from Jamaica for a weekend. I can let you talk to him. And Noreen put me in touch with Alwyn. And Alwyn said, young man, if you want to talk to me, you can check me out tonight. I'm leaving tomorrow morning for Jamaica. I can give you my night. And I went to Alwyn at Urban Martin's house. And that's where I became a playwright. Alwyn took me under his wings and taught me. I revised Negmawan, and that play took me to Africa. I won an award with that play as well. So that is the long and short of my writing skill being developed. And I would have written, I think 20 plays in my lifetime. We traveled to Africa and throughout North America, many Caribbean countries, the most traveled theater company, very successful career in theater. Thank you, Brain, for bringing that up.
I want to say thank you, Brain, for bringing
Yeah, I
that
had
up.
to remind you.
How did I forget
No,
that?
but I want to take him in another direction before you go into the professor area. His role as a Calypsonian.
Woo!
Oh, but it's good to have you,
No,
man.
man, I have
It's
the
really
man,
good to
I
have
have
you,
the
Brain.
man covered, you know.
Yes.
I have him covered, you know. He's not escaping tonight, you know.
Whoa, Calypsonian. That started in 1992 with the Calypso company's Calypso Monarch competition. And Cecil, I represented DBS in that competition. Ivona, I think Pearl was there and others came down to shout for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the competition was organized by DUTC, Dominica Unit Trust Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And the Monarch got $500.
I still have the
trophy.
The trophy.
Wow, that's good, man.
So Cecil, I took part in a competition for DBS.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the criteria for judging that competition was crowd response. 20 points. So when I see 20 points for crowd response, I'd written a song for Pampo at that time.
Yes.
A song about Pampo. She was, I had discovered her, again doing my work with DBS, and I write a song about Queen Pampo. So I said, if I'm going to compete for DBS, I'm going to have to dress up in my WAP duet as Pampo. And Branca John, Father John, was one of those who helped to dress me and put my lipstick, and he actually arranged and co-composed that song for me.
Wow.
And I sang that song. And at the end of this song, when I play my WAP duet and I picked that up, the crowd went wild. And I beat fellas like Buplay and them fellas, in that competition, And DBS, through us, won that first ever Dutsy's Company's Monarch competition.
And if people think we are making joke, here is it.
You still have that.
See Dutsy right here?
Dutsy, man.
Dutsy.
That's it.
It
You see, I'm
says-
telling the truth.
It says Dominica Unit Trust Corporation Limited,
Yeah.
first annual Calypso competition.
I'm telling you.
Wow, that's
No
part of
joke.
history.
Yes.
Serious.
And that's a serious trophy. Eh?
That's a
Yeah,
serious
man.
trophy.
So it felt good picking it up for DBS. And right after that, I decided to, get into the Calypso business a bit more seriously. I sang a song titled Osama Say.
Ah, that was a great song.
Based
Osama Say, you remember that, Sasso?
Come on. Osama say, get down. Osama say, pick up.
Yeah, we mash up the road with that song.
It was a road match, right?
It was road
Yeah,
match,
man.
man. Osama.
Road match. And the next year I said, let me continue writing. I wrote a song called Child Money.
Give me the child money.
Henrietta came to tongue telling stories again from my playwriting stuff. You know, and I use a name in that song that someone identified with.
Bofong it was?
Bofong. And when I sang Bofong, I was talking about the other Bofong character in Roseau.
Yes.
The Bobo Food guy. I just used him as a character.
Yes.
But it so happened that a guy named Bofong felt I was singing about him.
You took it to court?
And his wife was happy because he was guilty as charged in my song, but I didn't know that. And his wife was telling me,
Alex.
Leave that alone, eh?
No, Alex.
Leave that alone.
Alex, you said the man was guilty as charged?
In the song,
Even if you were not talking about him?
Yeah.
even if every word in the song was suiting him with.
Give us the first verse.
Henrietta came to tongue. She wanted to have some fun. But when the boss put her down, I knew there was something wrong. She saw her last child father. He was always talking her. Man, the girl came right over and grabbed him in his collar. She bust a slap, she hit him back. Bofong under attack. He tried to run, she throw him down and pin him on the ground. Papa Bunch, yeah, and hear what she say. Give me my child money. I want my child money. The court say you owe me. Come and pay me. Give me my child money. Boy, well, that was plenty there, ba. Just around the street corner. Free police tried holding her, but soon start to take cover. The girl start to make cool point. Bofong saying large mwe. People start to gather wrong. Me myself I had to run. He start to cry like a big child, asking Henrietta why. The man kneel down, his tears falling down. Henrietta still getting on. So we had 4 verses in that song.
So hold on. So anybody fought with Bofong?
But the wife fighting him.
No. Alex, did anyone fought with Bofong?
The man sent a lawyer letter for me.
Did anybody fought with Bofong, Alex?
Taylor, I don't know. I just know somebody told me, I'm happy you write on him. I'm happy. So I don't know, but
So hold on. So Bofong had a child with a girl from the country then?
Cecil, why are you asking me that? I don't know. I didn't. My song was not on him.
But your wife met you.
So he sent me a lawyer letter. Cease and desist. I can't compete with that song. So I could not even sing the song. Pressure on me. The day
Hold on, who told you can write? So Bofong told you can write the song? Can I sing
yes,
the
the
song?
police lawyer say I can't sing the song.
Sent by Bofong?
Yes. Cease and desist. And offer damages for the client that I've hurt.
So you should have asked the lawyer that Bofong has a child outside of the marriage.
I don't think he did or whatever, but he seemed to have, based on what I was told, little, things that whatever.
Sis.
But I was under so much pressure, and that time the eliminations was at the Arawak House of Culture. Sawa had peace on it. So it was me and Sawa that was big that year. Big. In fact, the eliminations was called the Child Money Calypso eliminations. Pressure, I couldn't sing the song. And then Julian Prevost, my lawyer, who again worked with me for another case, helped to get the embargo lifted on me, and I sang that song. And I think I won the road match that year too. I could have, but some people say, oh, I can't win back-to-back road match from the country like that. They're not playing me. So a number of trucks chose not to play my song, but it was a big hit as well because of the controversy.
So your song was banned on DBS?
DBS banned me with For Chris. DBS didn't, well, when the lawyer letter came out, DBS could not play it until I was cleared. But when I was cleared, DBS played Child Money.
I'm happy you're saying that, because some people think that DBS would just go and just ban a song.
No, DBS didn't ban me. DBS banned me for a song I sang for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Because...
Is it saying for Chris or for Chris?
For Chris. Because
for Chris.
I sang a song the year after Child Money and I say, it's like I sang my song last year, and fellas say I call their names. So this year I'm not singing for fellas, I'm singing for my cousin Chris.
Yes.
And the chorus was, I singing for Chris this year, singing for my cousin Chris. I singing for Chris this year, singing for my cousin Chris. Right? So, but there was a jam in the chorus saying, I will go to jail for Chris, I don't care about. For Chris, and then for Chris, for Chris, for Chris, for Chris, for I singing for Chris this year, singing for my cousin Chris. So that was how the chorus ended. Well, you might show me and say, band. Show me and say, Alex, you are saying Chris. It doesn't sound like Chris. Shaman put that for all kind of a thing. Say, you hear him? You hear it? So I said, Shaman, is your mind? She said, no, and it will not be played. So I was banned for that. For Chris.
Then you came back with another one.
I came back, had bored all around the place. I was a bad fella in tempo song, you know. Thinking about the billboards, at those times, Flo started creating billboards and putting celebrities on boards. So I started seeing fellas on boards. I said, but fellas on boards, women on board. So I kind of had to put a double otan and I mixed the word and I started calling fellas' name. Camilla on the board. And so fellas going with that now.
Camilla on the board.
Yes, I put Camilla on the board.
Boy.
And then I put fellas on the board too, you know.
So you said Alex on the board?
Yes, I on the board, he on the board, you know. And I call our partner and he say, boy, what? He was threatening to sue me too.
For being on the board.
So you're sitting board then?
Look trouble.
What?
So that was another one. Then I sang Flip Phone. Because DG had just come in, not DG, yeah. When I sang board, Yellow, the company from Guadeloupe, the French phone company.
Yeah,
Orange.
When I sang Flipping Phone, DG had just come into the thing. Flipping Phone. So I sang a song Flip Phone, but I used the I don't want your flipping phone. Meaning that I singing for Flo, for Cable Rice at the time it was, and I don't want to be lured into because the other company was giving a lot of phones, free flip phones. So I played on the word, man, I don't want your flipping phone, man. And that was played at DBS too, because it was a flip phone. I will keep my candy bar. So all these songs were hit. And then I sang Reunion Jam when there was a reunion in Dominica. 1990 something.
98?
98.
Bam, bam, bam. So Kesasela had about 5 or 6 years of serious hit songs. And then I just stopped singing. I decided to get into MCing because I found more joy in MCing. I didn't like competitions.
Yourself and
Val Coffey.
Val Coffey.
The best.
We became the duo.
I must give you your credit. They are the best.
Thank you.
Sometimes you did it with Franklin.
I worked with everybody, but Val
and him.
Val and me, we were...
Combinations.
How did your jokes come?
There were many natural, normal. We created them live in real time. Val and me never prepared, you know. There was never a time Val and me went to prepare to plan for a show, you know. It just happened spontaneously most of the times. And we fed from each other. So that was pretty much. And then sometimes I would hear a joke and I would fix it in my own little way as well. But that was pretty much what it was.
Someone said, you know what? One of your main character is Alex. You have a passion in what you do, regardless.
Yeah, man. And I'm not the best singer. I'm not a singer at all, but I use the voice effectively. I wrote stories, and I brought my stories. I have 2 crongs, you know, Road Match and Company's Monarch, you know.
Yeah, the companies. Astafans, you were?
No.
No, for y'all.
DBS.
DBS, yeah.
And I worked at Astafan for a little while as well. And I got a record deal, Jetstar record, for that song. And I wouldn't tell you what a very highly placed person in Dominica did to me by trying to take credit for that song.
Which one? You give me my child money?
Yeah, child money. I got a record deal with Jetstar record.
And somebody tried to take the credit?
Yeah, I brought the song, the offer in an envelope. I think I was getting like $5,000 up front and royalties in perpetuity to take the deal. A record deal, you know. So when I'd written the song, I'd gone to a writer and tell the writer, well, here's a song and I want to go and perform it. I want to know how to sing it because I do not know music. So the person put G put the chords for me, and cross one thing and change it. So when I got the record deal and I brought it for the man, because the man helped me to put my chords on the song, I happy? So he told me, leave it there and come back for it. When I came back for my song, my documents, the person wrote his name below my name as writer and composer. So I got
all royalties going to that person, eh?
Huh?
All the royalties going to that person.
Yeah, so I got it typed, but then the person writes their name below my name, boy. So when I got the envelope, I said, well, why would they do that? And I never submitted the document back to the record company. So I only got the deposit, but I never got any royalties back from that song because of what this guy tried to do. I didn't know how to deal with it, so. And I even think I was told that this song was registered with this guy. So if you look at child money, see who owns it. That person.
But if you're saying that, you can tell us who the person is. If you can tell
well, I'm not calling the name, but if you look at the owner who owns that song on PRS or somebody, I think, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Wow. That's not fair, though.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it was not nice. I didn't know the business at the time. And I still can, I have the contract. I have my lyrics of my song, everything written. So it's my song. It is just that I didn't know better. And
some people may have forgotten that we also, in 1988, we had a reunion. And at the time, 1988, you did not sing Calypso.
1998?
I'm saying in 1988, you were not singing Calypsos.
No, not at all.
So you were not even in Roseau yet.
No.
So I just want to correct the persons that are actually listening, the people that are actually listening.
1998.
1998. There was a second reunion.
The second, 10th year reunion.
10th year reunion under the United West Party.
Yes.
Party. I remember that like yesterday.
So I sang Reunion Jam.
Yeah, Reunion Jam.
Right. One last thing before you go and ask him other questions. In terms of your centenarians, I know you did a project for the people, first time, who reached the age of 100.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Okay, so it began with my great-grandmother who died at 103. And I took a great liking for every elderly person because my great-grandmother died under questionable circumstances. She would use a little Louis Cower pat every now and then to relieve herself. That's what they did for her bowel, because at a certain age, your bowel gets tight up. So that's what she used to do. Somehow, something replaced the Louis Cower pat that day. That dreadful day, Carnival Tuesday, in 1981. And she drank it, and she died of whatever she drank. Somehow, miraculously, the real carpet turned into something else. So I missed my great-grandmother, Mama, and I saw every older person as her. And I fell in love with people like that. And I kept on searching to find my great-grandmother in every older person. So that's how my idea of loving elder people came into the being. So when I went to Miami, work again with my partner, Paben, we created a foundation called the Pampo Foundation because at that time at DBS with Dennis Joseph, Dennis had asked me to do special projects. And as part of my projects, I got to hear from a lady called Jennifer Parilon of the discovery of a lady called Pampo who was very old, and my person and them. So when I went down there as part of my special project to do the interview, I realized it was more than just an ordinary project. And the result was Pampo and the foundation was created. We raised money and started an awareness of celebrating the centenarians until sometime later on, Lauren Barnes Roberts, the minister, approached me and said that the government was thinking of doing something called another idea to extend on what I was doing. And we went to Fort Young and discussed it, and that's where the Yes Week here started. But before that, it was the Pampo Foundation and the Elderly Centenarian Observance.
So give us a little bit more information in reference to Mapampo and your establishment with Mapampo.
So Mapampo was a lady from Glanvilla who had been here for a while. She was born in 1875, and most people did not understand and even believe. But on my research, based on what she told me, she was that age and probably even possibly older. Because she told me about a teacher Keynes that taught her. Now, there were two teacher Keynes who taught in Portsmouth. One older and one much older. She also taught about an overseer who worked with her. And when I researched the overseer, he would have worked in Picard at the time when Pampo was a girl at 12. She told me her husband was a man called Pierre Mouton from Penville, a judge, Ernest George. And when I went to Penville and asked for Ernest George back in the day, none of the elderly people knew Ernest. They told me they knew somebody, and that could be him, but it's their grandparents that told them about that guy. And she told me her husband was Ernest George. And she had a child with a guy she was raped on the estate by a guy, she told me, a stud, who came in from Barbuda, Quatrinton. And when I went to Barbuda to research, I was told that they were breeding studs, African studs in Quatrinton, and they would move them around the Caribbean to impregnate women. So she was one of his victims, and she made a child called Burley. If you look at Burley, tall, strong, amazing. So she told me about all these things, and all of the different ideas came together, and we went to the church. I worked with Miss Peters, and we were able to find a listing based on what Pampo had told me that made her 125 at the time, born in 1875. So we broke the news on DBS. We had a big celebration. The priest came out. Everything happened. And that was it. That was Pampo. So because of the discovery, we started interviewing other people. So Auntie Rose, who was a super centenarian at 115, left a stone throw from Pampo. And then he says, your job is to go all around and interview centenarians. Well, I was not, So we documented about 25 centenarians in Dominica at that time. And that's where the awareness of the centenarians and the celebration came in. I mean, I can tell you so much more about it, but I mean, I will abbreviate it. If you insist, I will tell you more. But
I would like to get some more information.
Good. So one of the things we did through the foundation, we negotiated with the service companies like Cable and Wireless, Domlec, Dawasco, all the utility companies. And every Dominican centenarian got free water, free phone, lights, everything. Every centenarian automatically got that through the foundation. Brisbane also gave every centenarian a basket of wholesome food every month. Every other. So, and what we would do, we would follow up to make sure that the centenarians get their stuff. Who wanted rosary, who wanted little gifts, we got it for them. So we established that. Pampo was even placed on the national stamp. And I think she was given an award or something like that. And on her death, she got an official or almost quasi-official ceremony to be sent off as well. So all of that was done through us, through me, I guess, and others during I think Daryl Teat might have been going around with me as well when we were doing that little search. Darren Teat and Jermaine Roy, when we were doing this, the gathering of information about the centenarian. And I still have the archives of all the interviews done, but then I just lost interest after, especially it was turned into the Yes We Care. I think it's what it's called now. And I'm not sure what the program really does for them now, but I would imagine it's doing all of that and other things.
Gordon Henderson is tuning in first, and he says that Barbuda was a breeding station when the slave trade was ended, but slavery was not yet abolished. So he's endorsing what you're saying.
That's what I found out when Pampo told me about this man. This stud was tarred at the Barbuda, was hangman. And then I went to Barbuda, and the guy that did his stuff to us, nobody knew him. Nobody there. There's no record of him. But she told me he was, and he was on the estate at the time when it happened.
He was working on the estate.
He was brought in. I'm not sure he was working, but he was brought in there. I'm not sure if it's to do what he did.
To breed.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Basically, on the estates, you had men, strong men, who used to get women pregnant for what you call the breed. So just like you breed horses or cows, that person was brought in for that job, to breed the female slave.
Any other thing that
it was called stud.
Any other thing that we would have forgotten for Dominica aspect of it?
Well, I know, for instance, many of them came from neighboring islands.
No, I'm talking about in reference to Alex. You brought in the Mapampo, you brought in...
No, I think it's there's one other thing I would like to ask him, but I'll wait until you go into his professorship.
Mm-hmm. I just got a very sad message of a friend of ours, all three of us, of the passing of a friend of ours. I won't be able to say that now.
Another one,
to confirm it. Yeah,
we'll have to come.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we had him once on the Lakou program some years ago.
Right.
You know,
right. He was with me last week
Yeah, may his soul
at
rest
my
in
home.
peace.
But we'll find out.
Yes.
And he's always by another good friend of ours down there
Mhm.
in Federation Drive.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it.
Yes.
When we confirm.
Yes, when we confirm. But Alex, as I said earlier on, not qualify according to many people, because what some people fail to understand, experience sometimes be the area of qualification. Right now, the University of the West Indies and some other universities are now recognizing experience.
Yeah.
And they give you some kind of credits in reference to your experience to allow you to start doing a degree. Now you're a professor, Alex Bruno. Help us to have a greater understanding of that.
Well, in terms of the qualification, for people who really think they don't have what it takes and they don't have the degree and they don't have the experience, you just start doing something, anything, and the experience comes. I didn't even realize how the experience started coming for me. I was a volunteer, Cecil, at DBS. I volunteered here, before I actually got back here. So in 2010, I decided, again, Cecil, we don't have to get into the full details of everything that I went through at DBS and the politics of it all. But I eventually decided to go study. And I went to study. I didn't have 5 O levels. I think I had about 2. Just like Dr. Honeychurch. He told me, he's similar. And he was one of those who tell me, go get something, go out there, study. So I went out there and I started from scratch. I did my GED. That's the equivalence to high school in America, because I didn't have that. I mean, I graduated from St. Andrews High School, but that they don't recognize that up there. So I did the GED, and then I did my entrance examination for the college, Palm Beach State College. Incidentally, my alma mater that I actually am a professor with right now, which is a feat in and of itself. And that's how I started college. I did everything that I had to do from scratch. And I made it up the ladder to the point where I graduated with an associate degree at college level, and I in arts, and I went to Florida Atlantic University. All of that time, I'm still on study leave to do a bachelor's in philosophy. So I did philosophy with theater as a minor, and I did very well in that program. And then I decided to move on, continue. Because I said I was, of course, in touch with you all the time, as you know, into my master's program. And I would have liked to have done philosophy as a master, but the program wasn't available at FAU. And I wanted to stay FAU because I was close to my house. So I decided to do political science. And I got a master's degree with a full ride, meaning fully paid, including tuition waiver and stipend as an assistant teacher. Or we call it a GTA, graduate teaching assistant. And when I got my first master's degree, I decided to do my doctoral degree, which I have not yet successfully defended, but I will soon. I am all about doctor, ABD, meaning that all I need to do is just prepare to do the conferring. But in the process, I earned another master's degree, this time in international studies. So I have a couple of master's degree of a bachelor's with a minor in theater and in philosophy. While I was studying as a student, I got to be an adjunct professor at Palm Beach State College. I applied. It's the first tier of professorship. So as an instructor, you have to be an adjunct and you do the work with no benefits, no anything. So I spent some time there as an adjunct, and a job opened up, a full-time job opened up, and I applied. And that's one of the reasons why I delayed to defend my doctoral as yet, because you cannot go for a full-time professorship and do a degree at the same time, a doctoral degree. It's just too much work. So for 2 years, I worked towards getting and earning that full-time degree as a full-time professor. And I was successful out of a search of around the entire United States. How many dozens of people? I was the final person standing, and I was appointed as a full-time tenure-track professor at Palm Beach State College.
Now, someone says, let's come look for you at PBS College.
Yeah.
Is it the same one in Lakou?
Yes, but my campus is PGA, Palm Beach Gardens Boulevard. I'm a faculty there. But of course, it's the same school, but we have different campuses. So I am in Palm Beach. I'm like 10 minutes away from the former president of America in Mar-a-Lago, right around the corner. Palm Beach is one of the most affluent cities in America, not just in Florida, in America. So that is where I teach. I normally refer to it as the country club of the college.
You said that you studied political science in the United States.
Yeah, I studied political science in the U.S.
There is something that baffles my mind, and I need to get some clarification on it in reference to college. How do you call it? The college when you're voting.
The electoral college.
Electoral college. Yeah.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay, so the electoral college, interesting. The electoral college is a group of electors who are elected or selected by the parties. And they are the ones who vote for the president. So in America, when the citizens vote, they don't vote for presidents directly. They vote for a college who then elects the president.
Take that again.
Americans don't vote directly for a president. They vote for the college. And the college is that which elects the president. The framers, when they were putting the Constitution together, felt that this was the fairest thing to do because the smaller states said, if it is a popular vote, the bigger states would have all the votes and they would have all the clouds to decide who become president. So as smaller states, we think representatives of the states should be the ones voting for president. And the number of people we have in the government should be the number of college votes that we have. And we would cast our votes so every state would have a little say to vote for the president. And also the framers felt that the Americans would not know, because back then there was no information technology as we have today. So they felt that to allow the citizens to vote for a president would be taking a big risk. So the college and the states should vote for the president, not the masses. Right now, the states do not vote. It is the people, but the people vote for people to vote for the president. And those people are appointed by the political parties. So the Republican Party has college of electors. The Dems have college of electors. So if the Dems win in Florida, their college vote for the president. That is how, and they go to say, well, the great state of Florida submits all the college votes to whoever it is who won the seats. So it's a tricky little thing. America is the only country on earth that does it that way. Voting for the president through electoral college. And some people don't like it. Because some of them are saying, well, in 2006, Clinton should have won. She won the popular vote and she lost the college. And that's not fair. The fact is she knew she was going up for an election based on her college and she accepted it. So she has to accept her fate. The 45, I don't call his name, 45 was not the most popular person.
That's President Bush.
Yeah. No, 45 is the other one. The one, number 45, who beat her.
You're talking about not
the most immediate past president.
Oh, you're talking about Trump.
Yeah, I don't call his name professionally. I have taken a decision never to
Donald Trump
call his name. So I now call him 45. He was the 45th president. So 45 did his work through the small states and get the small states to vote for him. He became president. So the Dems are always saying they should break away from the college and have a popular vote contest. I'm not sure if America is going to do that eventually, but that is how it is now. And that's in a nutshell, I'm giving it to you, Cecil. So when Americans vote for a president, Americans do not vote for a president directly. They vote for a college who casts the vote for the president.
That is confusing.
That's confusing.
Yeah.
Alex has explained, but I'm still confused in my mind.
Yeah. It takes a few seminars to get it.
Right.
But you understand the concept, right?
I'm getting the concept, but the practicality of it.
The practicality?
Yes, of it.
Yes.
You know, you have won the popular votes,
But you're not president.
but you're not the president.
Yeah, because the votes are awarded to president based on the college.
So for instance, unless Florida... So California is a very big state.
Oh yeah,
But
California, Texas, Florida.
But California cannot determine the president. Florida, a smaller state, determines the president over that of California.
Yes.
That I find is funny.
Yeah, because that's just the equation that they work. And they, again, to study the electoral college, there are books written on the electoral college. I give a seminar on the electoral college, a special seminar on it. You can teach it as a class. And it's just how, and based on, I gave you the highlights of how it really is going to work. And again, there are some who believe that it should be this done away with. But when you do away with it, Cecil, what do you replace it with? Popular vote? When you put popular vote for the contest, guess how many states are going to vote for the President of America?
51?
51.
The big states.
Yeah. That's what you're saying.
Carry
The 5 big states.
Yes.
6 big states. 11 states altogether.
Yes.
So it makes it worse than the college now. At least the smaller states can help you to win or lose. But when you put that, you take away the college and you say, okay, popular vote.
That is why they're saying, well, in California there are 16 colleges, and in California there are
35.
35.
There are 35 members of the Electoral College in California. Right?
Yeah.
I think over there.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question there whilst you're on the Electoral College. Couldn't it be that you have 51 states?
Mhm.
And
50.
50 states, and
Yes.
each one has one vote. So the person who gets the most would become the president.
That is when there is a tie. If nobody gets to 280 Electoral College votes, it now goes to the states. And each state vote once. And if 26 states vote for one person, that person becomes president. That is for should there be a tie in the college. Or nobody gets to 280 votes.
Like the French, the way they do their business for president is that is a 50 plus 1. So you cannot just say that you're going to win. And if you don't get 50 plus 1, they
You
have a
have to go back
second
to a
run.
rerun.
You have to have a second run.
Mhm.
And in the second run, most likely that the parties that ran against you might decide to join you or join somebody else to really help you to get a 50 plus 1. So unlike our system, the British system, which is totally
First
different.
past the post.
First past the
First
post.
past the post. Okay.
You know?
Very interesting.
And that's why you find that in some constituencies from the British part of it, some constituency may be very small,
Mhm.
but you have the bigger majority. So you find that a constituency, let's use Dominica, you have Roseau North with 5,000 people to vote.
It's the biggest constituency.
Then you have, let's say, Salisbury with just about 1,500 people to
Right.
vote. But the first past the post would be the person who has the higher number.
Right.
Here, in the United States, based on what Alex is saying, that's not how it is done. It is done
No.
from the college.
It's totally different done for the college. And if the college cannot get, if no one gets to 280 college votes, then the states decide.
All right.
1 vote per state, 26 states elect the president.
I wonder if the Americans themselves understand that system.
Most Americans don't, but
Most
it's our job.
Americans don't.
They don't understand the mechanics of the college. They know that is the college that decides.
But that is crazy, Alex.
But in terms of the mechanics, I have had arguments with people who didn't quite understand. And Cecil, to be honest with you, I think the college is the better thing in terms of electing the president based on how it works. Because if not the college, we have a popular vote situation. And it makes it even more jarring, where less states will get to decide who becomes president.
So now, if the United States is determining how their president becomes the president, why would the United States determine how does Cuba or the Soviet Union, or like there's no more Soviet Union, Russia or China determines their president?
Well, there's something called diplomacy. And
I like the way you put it, Alex.
It is the states which control certain things in the geopolitical sphere that can
that can be an issue there.
So America has dabbled a bit around with its economic and military power and has interfered in many countries' affairs.
Right.
And America is not a saint.
Right.
As to my position on that, I can't take a position on that.
Because you're American.
Well,
But let's leave it there because
No, he's an American.
Yeah, because-
and that is a great point, Alex is making there, because sometimes we as Caribbean people,
Right.
We tend to think that we can speak freely and say certain things, whether it affects anybody else. And you can see from what Alex is saying, which I totally agree,
I agree with him.
with Alex.
Yeah, because the whole situation there, in terms of military might, in other words, the Monroe Doctrine kicks in, whereby anything that would affect American interests affects America.
yeah.
So therefore, one understands the situation.
No, as you're saying that, Alex, because you study political science,
Yeah.
the Monroe Doctrine, which affects the United States and Cuba, all right? We have seen the United States and, I should say Russia and
China?
no, Russia and how could I help you guys?
What? What you're talking about? The situation in Gaza?
No,
You want to go there?
in Russia.
Ukraine?
Ukraine, yeah.
Okay, Russia and Ukraine. Why can't the mono doctrine be implemented in the
Ukraine?
war of Ukraine and Russia?
Oh, well, why not?
Yes. Why can't it be?
But
In what sense? Ukraine
in-
being part of the former Soviet Union? Well, it's on their borders, you know. Ukraine is on the sphere of influence. So therefore, it's in the interest of Russia to look after her interests in terms of missiles being planted next to her.
No, I'm in agreement with you, Brain. I'm just asking Alex in reference to the Monroe doctrine, in terms of the Soviet Union, sorry, in terms of
Interest?
Cuba and the United States.
I see where you're going with
We know that the United States would not want at the time of the Soviet Union to be on the doorsteps of
Miami,
Cuba,
Miami.
of Cuba to affect the whole diplomacy of Cuba and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
No, we have seen, and that's I'm asking Alex.
Russia did not want NATO too close to Russia. What would have been
Right, so that's what I was asking Alex the question, and I hope that he can answer
Well, he
it.
knows.
Well, I mean, for people who understand politics and geopolitics, will understand the cynicism, the issue that Russia has or had, still has, with the incursion of NATO on its doorsteps. Because NATO is like a neighboring country. And Russia is within its sovereign rights to decide, do this or I'll do this. And Russia was not bluffing when they said, if there is any move towards NATOizing Ukraine, there's going to be war.
Mhm.
And Russia declared. But America cannot go to war with Russia, because you know what happens?
Nuclear.
It's going to be an escalation of war, and we will have other interests, allies develop, and we could have something called the Third World War. So the doctrine really was a doctrine created by America for America, not for other countries to be by. So Russia cannot now claim that doctrine.
No, but the United States established that doctrine.
James Monroe, I think,
Yes,
was the one who
but-
created the doctrine
But
for
I'm
the
saying,
external interests of the states.
so I'm saying that it was done for the interest of the United States,
Yes.
not having the Soviet Union to be on their doorstep.
Yes.
All right, so we quite understood that.
It doesn't apply for against America.
So you're saying to me that America can come to the doorsteps of the Soviet Union?
As I said,
Of Russia.
but he talks about geopolitics.
Mhm.
It's the geopolitical situation.
Muscle, man.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Alex
We
is-
understand.
Alex is the muscle. So I'm going to ask you about the muscle. what about Palestine and Israel?
Okay, that's another area again, and that's a very ticklish one,
Very
and I have to be
ticklish.
very, very, very particular how I
careful.
respond to
I
that.
wouldn't push you there.
What exactly are you asking me?
I'm asking you in reference to
Gaza?
the Palestine on one side, the Israelites on one side, but the United States is an ally to Israel. And we have seen what is happening in Gaza. I'm asking you, what can the Americans do to help prevent that war against the Palestinians?
Well, Netanyahu is the one who is going to ultimately determine. There's very little the Americans can do. I think what the American
Are you honest about that?
Yes,
answer?
he's right.
the foreign policy position of America is for a two-state solution. Israel doesn't want that. And they have been trying to get Netanyahu to understand we have to try to find a way to jointly exist.
But the United
That's
States,
America's official position.
but the United States is not saying that to Benjamin.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
But he's not listening because he does not. He wants annihilation of which is his
Palestine.
policy.
Do you know what the doctrine is?
What it is again?
It's the Samson doctrine.
Oh, yes.
And the Samson doctrine is to create an extension of Israel by taking Gaza. Because you see all the homelands. That's what it is.
That is, America is not
That's-
wholly supporting that.
is
America
what
is
Nathan
defending
doctrine.
its interests in the East because Israel is America's best friend.
Mhm.
And if Israel is at war, America is at war. America will not intervene directly, but they will give them all the support unapologetically, because you don't have a better friend in the East than Israel. And some believe that America is part and parcel and complicit with whatever is taking place in Gaza.
Gaza.
It's sad, but America is never not going to help Israel because it will want. America needs Israel more than Israel needs America.
So America is not fair if you're saying that they're speaking to to Benjamin to inform him that he should listen, and if he doesn't listen and decide to go to war, that they would support him.
But basically, just Alex, Netanyahu after that, just like Goldmeier, will be taken out. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how much longer he's going to
last
as
president,
as leader, prime minister
of Israel.
Of Israel.
No, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, because I want people to understand exactly the question. That question has caused professors to lose their job.
And I don't want you to lose yours.
So it's a very, very ticklish little thing. I mean, and I feel bad for the people who are losing lives on both sides of the conflicts. And I think it's going to take diplomacy, not war, to solve the problem in the East. And I think in America's defense, they're talking the diplomacy. They're not really driving the war. It's Netanyahu who is actually creating the situation.
Well, I will not go. Let me now go local.
Oh, before you go local, I have another international.
So go with this international.
We know in 1971 that the United States recognized China as one China under the one China policy. But we have since then seen the United States is making claim of the existence of Taiwan. What's your views on this one?
My views on the seemingly changing policy as far as America is concerned and the one China policy. Well, I think America still supports and respects and understands the one China policy. But America reserves the right that it has as a sovereign state to trade with any country. And that's what America is doing when it comes to Taiwan.
But Taiwan is not a country.
Well, isn't it?
Taiwan is a province.
Well, that's another discussion.
Let's say the province.
The province.
So America believes that it has its own determination as to how it deals with provinces, countries, and states. But even while it understands and respects the one.
But let us look at how the French themselves look at it.
French,
yes.
Well, I didn't study French politics.
The French would have to go to France to determine if you could do any business with a territory.
Well, that's French policy.
That's French policy. I don't know. You are the expert on French politics. I don't know.
Right.
Yes.
Let me just ask you, Alex, because basically, I mean, we have to touch down, basically, on a few things quickly. I know, for instance, do you still have the political organization? Are you still part of a political party here?
No. Let me tell you. Yeah, well, yes and no. Let me explain that to you, because people are the misguided illusion that I am a politician. Last I checked, I'm a political scientist. That's what I do. But I created a movement because I wanted to begin a different kind of conversation. I think opposition politics had deteriorated into what it, I guess, had been for too long. And the incumbency was getting stronger while the opposition was getting weaker. And as someone who understood politics and tried to help and was not heeded, I said, you know what, enough is enough. I want to start a new kind of conversation. One of engagement, one of respect, one of camaraderie. You cannot not speak to the Prime Minister. You cannot be offered time on DBS as an opposition and not take the time. Ufu. So I said, in my own understanding, create a new idea to start a conversation. Alex had no illusions, no interest in becoming into the politics. But I just could not stay and watch it continue, because we were going to have one party in office for life if nothing was done differently. So that's why I started the organization, BRAIN, to begin a new conversation. And some people misunderstood and started hating on me. I do not have any problem with any politician. I just wanted things to be done differently, in a way that there's greater camaraderie, where we respect each other and we fight to win, not try to degrade and denigrate and destroy. So that is what I did with the creation of a new idea. And I'm telling you, it has worked, you know. It has worked. Fearless giving my blows castigated me, but it will continue to bear fruit. So that is my involvement with that movement, as far as that is concerned. And if anything is to stand a chance right now against the incumbency in Dominica's politics, it has to be a new sort of imagination. And until until that is done, it's going to be a one-way track in Dominica's politics, if the same rhetoric continues.
Now, I saw in your article, and that will be my last question on that. You said in your article, which I saw, in terms of opposition forces not taking part in the elections. Do you still hold that view when they did not take part?
Me? No, what I said?
Yeah, no, I said
I was not in favor of the boycotting.
Yeah, the boycott. I was
No.
referring to the boycott.
No.
Why did you say that?
Why was the boycott a wrong idea?
Yeah, why?
Oh, the boycott was not wrong, it was foolish. Who boycotts, and why would you boycott an election that's called to determine who gets into the legislature? When at the time you had an opportunity to probably better your standing by just changing your strategy and your message and take it to the populace. I mean, you gave the incumbents a greater majority, a greater mandate by not participating, saying what? The official excuse I heard was the outside world will see and decertify the elections. I mean, how do you think that the world is going to decertify somebody who took part in a legitimate election and you chose not to take part? It didn't make sense. I just never understood the rationale and the science behind not contesting. It was mind-boggling. So that's why the team that I was part of, I said, guys, let's go, put fellas, and just go and contest for the sake of our democracy, to show seriousness. At least before the election, Carlos had written his concession speech. He knew he was going to lose. This party didn't stand a chance. The 100 and something votes the party got was a blessing, with no contest, no campaign. People wanted to vote. So, Bren, the talk of boycott did not make logical, scientific, political common sense. And I could have never supported that. It confused Dominicans, and it gave the incumbent that they're now trying to come and contest against now a bigger mandate to fight the next time. You have power and you're giving it up. Cecil, a politician does not give up power.
Never.
They want to continue in power. You have it, and because an election was called before something was done, you saying you're not contesting? That was one of the most silly political decisions in the history of Dominica's politics. I couldn't stand back and watch that happen. We put a team together and sent up. And that was what I think had to happen. And God willing, if it continues, the team that I'm part of will put a full team again. You cannot disrespect the people and the system like that. You know, you cannot do that. There is need for sort of political maturity that was lacking there. That's why you hear a little bit more of me. Because as someone who understands politics, it would be remiss of me to see it happening and not make a noise about it. So that's why people think I'm a politician. I have zero interest in politics. Cecil, you know that. I will not run for politics. I will not contest. I don't want to be prime minister. I don't want to be leader of opposition. Nothing. I just want people to respect each other, including the prime minister. Call him the honorable prime minister of Dominica. That's what he is. And respect the office for what it should be. So that is my disillusionment with how things was done. And because of that, I am enemy number one for a team of people I lose my police job for. And everything else that followed after that. You don't eat your people up like that when people decide to try to take a different position. And that is my story with the politics brain.
Someone said, Alex, very sound and fitting discussion on tonight's program. It's necessary to educate and inform persons who have very little knowledge about politics on the local, regional, and international level. Thank you, Alex, for sharing.
Thank you, Cecil.
Yeah,
and we could do this, maybe
said.
not on the Lakou every time, but if there is need for us to have a good political conversation.
Let me ask you the question, Alex. You have heard from several individuals about the right for opposition forces to have access to DBS radio. In the past, you have worked in DBS radio, and you knew earlier on that you were basically a very sound historian. In the past, would you be able to tell us what existed in reference to the right of the oppositions having access to DBS?
Well, I think they have more access now than in the past. If you ask me, I mean, to be quite honest, right? There's always been a kind of ism when it comes to opposition voices on DBS. An ism, meaning there's always an authority or somebody who's going to ask a question about people being on. And I remember a time we had to sign a memo that was not circulated. We just had to sign it and accept that we should do certain things in a particular way. Where if the opposition comes, here's how we handle it. So there's a protocol for when opposition politicians come on DBS. Never that they should not come, but they should conform to certain protocols to safeguard the station when they come. And that has always been the case in DBS for the times that I was there. And I would hope it is still this case.
Still exists.
Where you can come, but guys, here's how we roll. It's like before our program today, you tell me how we roll. I understand, and you have to respect that. But I do not think that the opposition understood that to get a little, you have to give a little. It's negotiation. You can't expect to come on the station, which is influenced by individuals who represent the status quo, and just say what you want. So you have to agree, and you have to take a little until you get. But they do not want to agree to take what they can get and work with what they get. Because not to be on DBS and in politics, national politics, is not to be national politics. And I remember Mr. Joseph Cecil telling me that the same thing, because at the time I used to work with the opposition party, that the invitation is open for members of the opposition to benefit from being on DBS. With the same conditions of involvement, but I do not think I had no major clothes. Some people believe I was a big player in the party. I was not. I was just trying. I'm not too sure it was ever used. I never heard them on. I do not know why, but I know the offer, and the offer was made, and it had been that way. But I think right now is even better than in my time. Since there was a time in my time when it wasn't that. It was a little bit more stringent. The manager was a bit more particular as to how we do it. I think in your defense, it's a little different. It is not as it was in I wasn't there in the 70s, but it wasn't as it was when Mamu was losing. Anyway, enough said.
I only ask a question because I don't need anyone to get to my defense. I've been at DBS Radio from 1990, so I have an understanding as to what existed and what the changes that I think was important to establish. Because I believe in communication, I believe in let's talk, I believe in let's understanding each other. So yes, Alex, I'm happy that you're able to make mention of how it existed and what it is now. Brain.
Now, I saw some of your articles I've been going through that you have published a couple books, or you're in the process of doing that. What are those books you have written, and have any of them been published? Are they on the market? What's the situation?
Well, yeah, man. So I have 2 books. One is published, one is yet to be published. And the first one that's published is the beginning of a series of books that I'm going to do on the political leaders of Dominica. The first one is Dame Eugenia. I did an interview with Dame Eugenia in 1999. And the intention of that interview was to have been released on our 100 Great Dominicans program. And after I finished the interview with the Dame, I was leaving. I said, thank you so very much. She says, I do not want my name called on any program featuring Patrick John. So I said, but Dame, you just gave me the interview and I told it was for the 100 Great Dominicans. She said, well, I'm not involved and don't put it out.
And you see, Alex, just pause a while, Alex. And that was the point that I tried to make last week, Saturday, when a particular Calypsonian has in song that how great and respectful that people were as politicians before. And I tried to make the general public know that is not factual.
Oh, no. Read my book. Get the excerpts of the audio book.
What did Eugenia tell you?
She tell me, and that's the same Dame that had fired me, and I remember her, but I gave her a good interview.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I do not want my voice aired on any program that also features Patrick John. If Patrick John is great, I am not great.
I don't believe you, Alex.
It's in the book. It's
If
written.
Patrick John is great, it's not great.
And she don't want to be. She had a particular dislike. So let's say dislike, to be kind, for Patrick John and her opponents. So then she told me no. And I'm like, I just did the biggest interview in my life for 100 great Dominicans, and the Prime Minister telling me no. So I told Shermin that, and Shermin said, well, if the Prime Minister said so, at least you have to respect her wishes, and we cannot do it. I said, so what are we going to do? She said, I don't know, we cannot do, so we have to move on. So I did another interview, but I held on to the cassettes. And I started listening and reading and listening, and I realized, but there's a big statements that she had been making. So I transcribed the cassette into text and read the text a few times and felt it was worth putting out. And I created it into a book, full text.
Whatever the cost is, Alex, I have to purchase one.
Oh, you get it, Cecil.
I want to be the first to purchase. Are you going to have it on Wednesday?
Yeah. Although I have not gotten my copies as yet, but I'm fingers crossed they'll land. I'll get them.
Mm-hmm.
So the book is on hard copy.
Even if I have to credit it and pay you on Thursday.
The book is on paperback. It's on hardcover. It's on audiobook on Kindle, so people can get that book on audiobook and listen to the dame in her voice. Never been aired before, Cecil, and that's the last full-length interview that she gave. It was a real wonderful interview. And she was taking no prisoners. She explained everything in her politics, and she was unapologetic about her dislike for certain people. Dame was not an easy politician. She was an introvert, but boy, she moved around with a big whip. So that I'm happy that we were able to capture that, Cecil, and I'm happy that you pledge your support for it in terms of the coverage and everything else. And I'm happy to talk about the contents and details of that book in many ways. So it's the first of a series of books that we're going to be doing over 10 years, if God blesses me with life. So the first one is Dame Eugenia. The second one is going to be on Patrick John. I think the third one is going to be on Edward Oliver Leblanc. And we have Rosie and Pierre sharing a book. And hopefully the last book I would do in this series is that of the Honorable Prime Minister of Dominica. So I would have featured all the Prime Ministers going back to Leblanc. Well, Premier going back to Leblanc. It's a 10-year project called the Dominica Political Leaders Legacy Series. Gordon Henderson, a dear friend, has jumped in to do the forward on this particular one. And moving forward, we'll get other people to do different ones in the series. After the 7th book, I'm done. So anybody who wants to write can write after, or they can write now about anybody else. But I've given myself 10 years to present works of our leaders, beginning with Leblanc and ending with the Honorable Prime Minister of Dominica right now. So that's the book. That's the first one that's out.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Before you leave, do you intend to do another play? I know you had, what is that? Men Does Lie? Was it Man Does Lie?
Man Does Lie, Woman Can Lie. The works. No, I will not do another theatrical production in Dominica until such time that the facilities are developed for it. And I said so the last time I worked at the Arawak.
Right.
It had been seriously... the Arawak was not in condition for it, and now I think it's even worse. So when we have a theatre that is standard and it meets the international benchmark, I will go ahead and do another play. Until such time, I'm not too sure. I will do a play.
Now, Alex, Calypso Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
So the Calypso Hall of Fame was born out of an idea that I had, and I called my partner, Edgar Hunter, and interested him in it, and he said yes. I decided to do the Hall of Fame because I worked with the Calypso Association for 10 years, and we mainly hosted and organized shows. We didn't document the Calypso. So again, because I'm interested in academia, I felt it's good to at least write the history of the people who contribute. So that's how the idea was born. Of course, the name is registered to me, but it's not me doing the award. It is the Calypsonians, the connoisseurs of Calypso. The first inductees were Idol, Spark, Solo, the greats. And those inductees, when they met, they informed the Hall of Fame who should be the next group of people. So since 2008, we have been having awards in conjunction with the Signman, UWI, the Dominica State College, and the University of the West Indies, which is our secretariat. So we come together to create the platform for the honoring of Calypsos and Calypso institutions that are suggested by the people who are already inducted. It's not our award, it's the people who say who should be awarded. So last induction, Father John and the others who were there suggested that the people who document Calypso should be awarded. And they mentioned Freddie, Cornell, Mac. They mentioned Ken, and somebody mentioned DBS. So I said, DBS? DBS is not a person. Then they said, yes, DBS recording of Calypso and the promotion of it, if they had not done it, the Calypso would not be where it is today. And they made a big claim for DBS. So that is how DBS came part of the picture. And then Hunter came into it because Hunter, his time is due now because of his work. And he is the most celebrated commercial Calypsonian. So this year the focus is on the documenters of Calypso, including King Hunter, who had done everything that any commercial Calypsonian around the world would have done. So that is how the Hall of Fame was created and registered, and the honoring of the people and institutions has always been done by the people who know best. And so we have 6 this time around being honored on Tuesday, inducted in the Hall of Fame. And Cecil, and I hope his team will be there as part of the inner circle to see how the conferring is done. Her Excellency the President is attending. His Excellency the former President, Mr. Savrin, attended every Hall of Fame event. So it's a high profile gala event that brings out the best of the best. It is an invitation only event, so the entire public will not come. But it's a real prestigious, lovely event.
And I just want to say thank you, Alex, for 2 things. One, for the organization and the person who actually recommended the name DBS Radio as an institution, not a person, into the Hall of Fame. And also to give us the opportunity to make our social media platform people to be present for the rest of the world, to see exactly what it is that your organization is actually doing.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Cecil. And it's a real, you see it, it's a real huge event. It's a public-private event, but it's a private event for the public. So the public may not enter, but the public will see it. And I'm telling you, the criteria for induction, and DBS and everyone else who's been inducted have met those criteria and surpassed them. And UE is fully on board, full endorsement as Secretariat. I mean, for the entire weight of the university is behind this event. So I just continue to be humbled and to continue to do the work that I was put on earth to do.
Well, basically, my questions are all over. And I would just like, in conclusion, I don't know if you have anything else to say, Cecil, or ask him.
I know, Alex, that you have been playing cricket for as a young boy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of Afanas and Hodge now on the West Indies team?
It's a special moment. Absolutely, and not just on the team, the top 6.
Yes.
Because they're in the top 6 of international cricket for West Indies. So it's good, but we must be very careful in terms of how they manage themselves on the team and the publicity around them. So Brian Lara spoke very fluently of Atanas, and I think Atanas is going to be a long stay. Hodge as well stepped up, and I think both of them are going to have a good run. What I would like them to do is to get temperament coaches and trainers in Australia and or other places that can help them, even when they fail, but to maintain a sort of decorum and presence. Because it is one thing to fail. Lara failed many times as a batsman. And I think if they fail too often in the early salvo, they may not be kept for too long. So we just want to hope and pray that the second test match works out better for both cricketers. And if it doesn't, psychologically they do not go in a slump. So as a country, there's very little we can do. But professionally, they can get individuals to help them. So they may have to play overseas and get the right kind of support to acclimatize them to international cricket on different levels. And I think that will help them. I think both players hopefully will be with the West Indies team for a while. And I'm really wishing them well.
What you make of big monies versus that of the West Indies?
Whom? Which team?
What do you make of the big monies
Oh.
to be offered to cricketers over that play?
Well, India controls cricket now. India is the mecca of cricket. They control all the rights and all the cricket purse. The ICC pretty much works based on India's demand. And the big money will hurt the prize genre of the game, which is test cricket. If you excel at test and you do test well, you are a cricketer. You could play entertainment cricket, big money cricket, big bash cricket, and make a lot of money. At the end of the day, it's not just money. Cricket is a game that tests individuals' temperament, and I think the best test is 5 days. Well, you can do it to 4 days now because most tests end within 3 to 4 days. So they can lower the days playing tests, but tests must continue to be the mecca in terms of the genre of cricket. In terms of the big money, people are going to go for the money. And you cannot stop that. But there should be certain things put in place in West Indies where West Indies cricket should be declared as some sort of cultural product that players, when elected, should play for the West Indies. They can play for other places, but when not clashing with West Indies itinerary. So we want to not force people's hands, but say, look, you're playing more than just a game for West Indies. You're playing for the identity of our region. So if you are so lucky to get elected on the team, you cannot decline. You should not decline. Play for something. So there should be some incentive or something given to it. Like when somebody become a test player, not just a test cap, but they get something else besides that can commensurate for the money.
Right. But one of the great Fizia Mohammed had this to say in one of his programs. Yes, you want to keep your test players and you want to maintain test cricket. But let's say, for instance, a guy like Joseph from Guyana, who come from an area where there are only about 350 people. On his first showing, he gets 5 wickets. And a franchise offers him almost $1 million to play 2020 cricket or ODI cricket. How is he going to refuse that offer when he knows maybe his life in cricket may be very short and the opportunity to make big money is available to him? How do you negotiate that psychological effect? Money is offered to me I can play for 2-3 years and become rich, and then I invest in this cricket playing for 3 years and I never get rich. How do you look at that?
Well, with the present setup of West Indies cricket and Test cricket, it is almost inconceivable that someone who's getting $1 million contract will not take it to make the money. It's human nature we're talking about, and you're talking about survival and people taking care of their families. But the question is, how did he get on this world stage? Was it Big Bash cricket or was it Test? So there should be some sort of connectivity, some sort of more than just playing Test cricket to keep them Test cricketers playing. They should be given the order of the West Indies, something that is worth money, value, that would not be easily traded for $1 million. So Test and the West Indies, not the politicians, generally, but the West Indies organization should create the environment and honor these guys who have earned it to the Test side with a value that can be weighed against the big money through in their face. I mean, Parker did it. That guy from Antigua did it. What's his name again? He's in jail right now.
Stanford.
Yeah. It's quick fix, easy money. At the end of the day, Cecil, do you want the big money?
The West Indies played against England. Each player, the winner, got $1 million. US.
Our team, the Test team?
No,
each player. Stanford team.
Yes.
Yeah. Where's the money now? Where's the money?
Yeah, but each of them got $1 million.
Yeah, but where's the
besides
million?
Shanda Paul.
Do they have the money now?
Well, I'm sure Gil did well with it by investing.
Invested, and then he went on to do other international cricket.
That's correct.
Yes.
But how many people invest that money? How much money they have now remaining?
I know.
So what does it gain a man to gain the whole world, to lose his, not soul, but to lose his prestige as a West Indies player? So I think my affinity would be for the Test cricket, but they must do more. They must give the people more brain. I'm not sure what they can offer the guys, but they should offer them something more than just a Test cap. So when the big money offer comes, like this Joseph guy, he will say, you know what, man, Test cricket brought me here, and Test cricket establish this thing for me that it's enough for now. When I am not playing test, I can play for you, but for now I'm going to play test. That something has to give. But at the present stage it is now, I think test cricket has seen its better days if nothing is done to change the status quo.
Coming on to the end, Alex, tell me your views of DBS infrastructure.
Oh boy, the internal infrastructure, not the internal. Cecil, I've not been here for a little while, and the place is different. It gives me a feel that I get when I go to other studios around the world, and I dare say that I'm impressed. I mean, Studio One is not the studio that I worked at. I wish I could work at that studio right now. The setup here in terms of the for this show with your green screen and the lights and the acoustics, the comfort in the space, it is just a lovely space. And not just that, the entry, the security, the details that is placed in terms of the layout of the building. I didn't realize an old building could be so modified to look so exquisite. So I am happy with what I'm seeing. DBS is fully modernized in terms of the physical infrastructure inside. The outside might still look the same, but the inside is a far cry from the inside that I knew the last time I was in here. So whoever did it, however the money was gotten to do it, Cecil, I guess you are the manager who oversees this. I think you have taken DBS into the new frontier of broadcasting, and I want to give you some credit for that and the staff as well.
Thank you. A number of people have written and say great program, wonderful program, great discussion, good program every Sunday. Sunday night. Thank Cecil, keep up the good work. Good program. So quite a number of people are saying thank you, Alex, for the information that you were able to bring. So true, Alex, about DBS Radio. Someone said that. Yeah. So really, Alex, you've been here in Dominica for your two events, one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. On Tuesday will be the Hall of Fame, and the other one will be the book launching.
Book launch, yeah.
And I really would like to indicate to a number of people, if not everyone, who can purchase your book. I think, as I said, I will have a personal copy. I'll purchase a personal copy, and I know that you'll make one available to DBS Radio. It's important.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to wish you well, Alex, in what you're doing in your endeavors, because you said something, and it's going to stick in my mind for a very long time, that you do not have the prerequisites that is required to give you the kudos that you now have, or people are giving you now. You are now a university professor,
mm-hmm.
and you said that from long you always wanted to be somebody. You got fired as a police officer, and you never turned back. That was an impetus, and thanks God you got fired.
Oh, well, getting fired was an impetus. Some people look at the negatives and dwell with it. I couldn't dwell with it. I mean, I was sick like a dog, but I was determined, Cecil. And as I said, I really was not qualified. I had nothing, but I was determined to make something of myself. I was not going to fail. That's why I worked so hard. And Cecil, it took all my life working to get to where I am today, I mean, everything, all the experience I got from DBS, from my village, from people who met me on the streets and advised, people who helped me, who gave me like a bread to eat. I'm not a millionaire, but I am thanking God that this I'm able to satisfy with the little that I have. And I am pleased to look back 20 years from where I started today to see where I've arrived. And one of the things, Cecil, that bothers me is when people achieve academically, some of them pretend as if they are better than somebody else. You play hoop as a moon. Brian knows that the most educated one among us is the most humbled one. Education, Cecil, humbles you. Degrees quaver you. Anybody with a degree, doctoral or whatever, and playing like the bigger than you, Cecil, probably they had not understood the experience of the getting a higher degree, or they didn't really earn it legitimately. Because, bro, there's no way you can go to school and spend so much time and come back belittling people, telling Dominicans that they're not whatever. everything that I've earned is because of Dominicans and people. The research that you do is people that give you the research. You can't come there knowing. You have to go to people to get the information that you can now use in your dissertation. So if there's one thing I'd like people to take back from me, is that humility is what is going to take you places, not exaltation. And anyone who comes to you bearing degrees and make you feel that they're better than you or they know more than you, watch them twice. Probably they purchased that degree or they didn't really assimilate with the culture of being educated on a higher level. When you are educated, Cecil, you have a responsibility to now pass on your knowledge to people. And the way you do it is not talking down at them, it's by being with them. And Dr. Honeychurch is a perfect example of that. That man, I owe a lot to him. I've been to him many times, my highs and lows. Yes, he gave me a scathing review and rebuke for the play that I did. But at the end of the day, he is assisting me with this new book. He wrote the introduction to the book. That after he rebuked me how many years ago because my work was not to the level, today he is writing into my book. So haven't I made some progress, Cecil?
Definitely, Alex.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So that is the point I want to leave Dominicans.
And some people are saying, amen, amen, Alex. Well said, Alex. Amen, Alex. Well said, Alex. Boy, you're getting them.
Yeah, man.
How could I forget? You spoke of Calypso earlier on. How could I forget? That would be my last question to you. What do you make of this year's Calypsos?
Well, it will be biased of me to comment. You know why? Because I have a little stake in the game.
Well, yes.
You know that,
true,
right?
Yes.
So again, for total transparency, I am involved with assisting the Calypso monarch.
While you're saying that, Alex, the Calypso monarch himself was able to see that yourself and Father Bricks did assist him in the composition.
Yes, the lyrical composition of the song.
How did that? Should I ask you a question?
How did that happen?
Yes, yeah.
It started last year, and it was me again that listening to Cecil. And another thing, the senior Calypsonians and those who sometimes criticize Calypso, you must ask them what are they doing to help develop the Calypso. So it's one thing to criticize. I hate criticizing you all the time, Cecil. But I've always known you to be one doing analysis on Calypso since you started DBS. While I cover it, you were going deeper. Now, you can be controversial about the things you do, but that has always been Cecil. So the point I'm making is, if you know the business, help people to get better. And when I heard Trilogy last year, I reached out to Trilogy. And I said, you have a thing, I like your style, you are fresh, and there are a couple of things that you can possibly do better. So he said, well, he started calling me Mr. Bruno. I don't like that here. Eventually, I tell him, call me Alex, or Uncle Powell. So now it's Alex. So I tell him, Calypso is an art that you have to understand how to win a monarchy. And I teach him with Bricks and another ghost who is involved with us as well, as to how you approach the Calypso business as a business. So my job was more strategic. How to execute, the preparation, the execution on stage, prop and stuff like that for crowd appeal. So I didn't get involved in his writing. But because of how we worked and the value I guess we put in, we all sat down around the table and put the song down and we workshop the song and we changed lines, put lines. So we had very deep involvement in that song, to the point where Father John said, you are not going to present lyrics that is not within the particular benchmark. If you want to sing about the politicians, if you want to sing the issue, here is how you treat it. And every word had to make sense. Every line, we reasoned about every line, change certain things that sound a bit borderline. So we came up with this thing called Nasty Business. And if you observe, Cecil, every line is a punch. Every line is a punch. Every line is a... It may not be quite favorable for people. And the idea about Vado name in the song, again, it came from our head because we know Vado is redder than red. So using her as a character in the song is just fair game. When we call Vado, Vado say, I am all right. I am happy. I will even perform for Trilogy.
That's amazing.
Because although the song is hitting politically, but it is hitting gently. It is not lavishly outrageous.
Alex, I've been seeing the calls coming in, but I just figured, let me just take this one quickly. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening, caller. Good evening to you, caller. Well, I'm sorry about that. You'll have to call back. Yes.
Well, I'm happy we didn't take too many calls
Yes,
because we were able to
because your interest was too big.
No.
Yeah.
But before he goes,
But hold on.
I didn't finish the Calypso.
Yeah, hold on. I want him to finish his point, but
Okay,
before that, let's go take a caller quickly.
Thanks, I get it.
Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening, Cecil. Good evening to Alex.
Hi.
I was listening to him talking about education, and I'm glad that he mentioned that because a lot of us back home think if you did not go to high school, or college, that you are not smart. But like you said, people could pay for a degree. And it's easy to get a degree once you can pass the classes and, make good grades, But we need to try to erase these things from our minds because everybody is educated in their particular field. I cannot do a plumbing job. I cannot be an electrician, but the person who does it is educated in that field, And I just said I have to call and give my thoughts on what he just said. Cecil. I'm glad that he really brought that across. In spite of him going to get his PhD, you have to be humble. I mean, what is it? Education? Anybody can get a degree, especially here in America.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that he brought that point across.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Cecil.
You too.
Thank you.
Yes. Alex, finish your point. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about higher learning and what we do with it. Well, what do we do with the knowledge? You cannot have knowledge and sit on it. So thanks for expressing that. I wanted to be very clear about my involvement. And then this year around, I explained to you how this song happened. So nasty business, I think. As you tell me what you think about it. In terms of the other calypsos, generally, it's going to be an interesting year. I think the battle lines have already been drawn. We have heard most first songs. We have not heard second songs as yet. We, in the trilogy camp, we are waiting to hear second wrong songs. We are particularly interested in hearing King Dice, what he has in the second round. JD is very good to see so far. So that is something that we are occupied with and we are thinking about. Webb is also quite promising. Daddy Chess. So we know we have zeroed down on 5 or 6 Calypsonians that we think are interesting with the first song, and we are now waiting to see what the second songs are. Hopefully they drop soon before we finally fine-tune what we have. All in all, I think it's going to be a good year of Calypso. More songs are average this year than other years. I think we have some big songs, but not too many huge songs. We have some average songs. So at the end of the day, I think 5 or 6 Calypsonians will be the ones. Hopefully vying. And you never know, there could be a dark horse or a white horse, whatever you want to call it. And I wish every Calypsonian well. Even if I'm working with Trilogy, I am open to talking to anybody. Not to work with them, because you can't work with two competitors at the same time. But I would not refuse to give somebody an advice if somebody asks me a question or two. But I happen to, yes, be in Trilogy's camp.
Thank you very much, Alex. I did enjoy some of what you've been saying to us in terms of the Calypsos. But one of my friends, and I will not call names, a commentator, threatened not to continue his episode on radio.
Yes.
Because there's certain persons who don't like when you analyze Calypso. But Calypso is about analysis. Basically, you cannot always like what a person is saying, but one has to be objective. And when one becomes objective, some people become very, very defensive in terms of your objectivity. Because having done a thing over the years, analyzing and critiquing Calypso is to help the art form improve,
Yeah.
And some people don't like it. Why are they behaving like that?
Okay, because we are not mature enough as a people to understand that the critic only wants the best for you. As I told you, Dr. Honeychurch tore me to pieces with a critic. And that is what made me better. So if a critic, Cecil is rough. Cecil has two things. He is very rough when it comes to the Calypso. He goes deeper than everything. Cecil always has a whole list of things to do, write down names and scores all. It's like he always judging a show. And that is Cecil. So that is one. He's very thorough and detailed. And two, Cecil has a political vice as well. It is obvious that Cecil has a political leaning, but that does not prejudice his analysis, at least not in every sense of the way. So we're not pretending that Cecil is balanced, and nobody is politically balanced. Why do we have to be balanced anyway? Cecil is a supporter of the Labour Party, and there are going to be things that he will say in defense of the politics the way he understands it. So you can't fault the man for that. It's his party. He has a job to do as an analyst of Calypso. And some believe that Cecil can be fair. I've heard times when Cecil did not come across as being the fairest person because of Cecil's political bias. So what? You as a Calypsonian have to listen to what Cecil say. There might be good in it. There might be bad in it. There must be something you should learn from the critic. And the person you're talking about who says they're not going to do it again is Edgar Hunter. It's my boy. Edgar Hunter is my boy. Bosom. And I told Edgar, think about it. Don't just give up, because people are going to claim a victory by you giving up. And Edgar explained to me why. And I told him, well, if you're going out, don't go out and not mention the reason why. Give a good reason why you are going out. I'm not too sure whether he did that. Explain to the public that I think I would be better served not analyzing Calypso, because my analysis does not seem to be falling on fertile soil, and as such, whatever else he has to say. So I don't know what he did. I really hope he can reconsider and come back next year, because I really like how Edgar analyzed Calypso. I like when he works with Cecil, because I think where Cecil is weak, he is strong. Where Wackers is weak, Cecil is strong. Cecil not perfect. Me and Cecil had butt heads already on many occasions. But you have to say things as it is. You have to say things as it is. These men who critique Calypso, they mean well, even if they support a party or not. And even if you don't support their party, don't think everything is politics for them, because I know Cecil. Cecil is not all about politics. Cecil is all about what he believes. Cecil has a hard head. He's very strong-minded. So you just have to be strong, brain. When the analysis says something about your song, you just have to just see what you can make of it. Or if you have a team, let your team work with you. Your team has to say, look, because I work with Sandy, and Sandy would come crying. The same Cecil, would say things about Sandy, and Sandy would be very concerned. Come crying. Sandy, that's okay. He's just analyzing. Here's what we should do to make him shut up the next time. So if you're working for Calypsonian, when the men talk about your Calypsonian, listen to what and see whether there is anything you can do to better the Calypso. If you think you have done your best and the man is just naturally biased, well, forget them. But if you do your best, even if you hit in the Calypso, the politics that they are supporting, they will do like Vado and still dance to the song. And there is a beauty and an art in creating a good Calypso, and some writers must learn that if they don't want fellas to tell them that they could have done better. And that is my view when it comes to that, brain. That's my view when it comes to that.
Thank you very much.
But again, with that said, I don't think the politicians and the people who support politicians should try to muzzle Calypso. And if that's what Cecil is doing, Cecil shouldn't do it. I don't think that's what you're doing. I think you're analyzing the Calypso how you should. I've never known you to be somebody not to give the Calypso play. And Calypso itself is its own entity. People say we shouldn't have politics in Calypso. It should be social. I don't agree. I think it should be whatever the Calypsonians want to sing, but there's a way, there's a decorum. And people who understand language and storytelling, the best of the best know how to tell the story. And you see Father John, he understands how to tell a good story in Calypso. And hence that song you see from Trilogy this year, in terms of the nasty business.
All I'm prepared to say, Alex, is the haters can say whatever they wish. I know, for instance, this year, I had an 85% count on the results of the quarterfinals into the semi-finals. Last year, I had a 95% count.
You mean people who made it also you had them making it on your list?
That's correct. Last year for the finals, I had the correct order. The only broadcaster who had the correct order of persons who or people who would have placed. It's on record. I always like to show my thing on record. When Tasha P got the Monarch at the second virtual competition.
Yeah.
When Tasha P got that crown, I was very clear the night that Tasha P won and that Bob would have been first runner-up. I was very clear the very first one when Bob won. I was very clear that Bob was going to win. Bob will tell you in 2018 when he won the crown, the night of the semi-final, well, not the night of the when you were preparing for the semi-finals, I told him that no one was going to beat him because I listened to all of the songs, both songs, and that he had the better written songs, and I was proven correct. I have also given Dice out of his 9 crowns. I would have given Dice about 5 crowns.
Only 5?
No, listen to what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I said I would have given Dice, meaning that the night of the show, I would have said that Dice won the crown. Right.
5 times only out of the 9 he won?
I had him, yes, I'm not telling you.
No,
listen to what I'm saying. I don't think you are getting me, Alex.
Tell me.
I'm saying to you, Dice has won 9 crowns.
Yes.
And out of the 9 crowns, in the night of the show,
yes,
okay?
You had him
I had
5 times winning.
I had him 5 times winning. Okay.
So 4 of the times you didn't think he would have won.
4 of the times I felt that he would have come first runner-up. That is my analysis.
Well,
that doesn't say because you have to always remember that I'm just one person. Yeah, because when all of the judges come together, they're giving a ranking.
No, we're talking about you. If you didn't see Dice winning more than 5 out of the 9, I think that's a little.
No, I'm saying to you, I saw him winning 5.
Well,
I'm telling you, I had him out of 9 times.
Right.
I had Dice winning at least 5 times.
Okay. Well,
the night.
And
my analysis happens the night. I want you to understand that.
Yeah,
so I don't judge.
I get you, but people could say something about that.
No, they can. That's the opinion.
I watched Dice.
Would you say, do you believe that out of the 9 times, all of the 9 times that you said that Dice is going to win?
Maybe not all 9, but
that's
not 5.
I'm telling you, I had 5.
I think Dice. Dice won the crown. He won the crowns with the time he won them.
No, I'm not saying that he did not win the crown. I'm not saying that he did not win the crown. I'm not saying that, Alex.
Yeah, but that's what
I'm just saying.
Your opinion.
It's not even an
analysis. Based on your criteria.
Based on my criteria, that I had Dice out of the 9 times winning 5 times.
Okay.
That is, and I want people to respect that. And the point is, I am honest enough to say it. I'm not going to say that I had him 9 out of the 9. No. That would be very dishonest. Or to say I had him 8 of the 9. That is very dishonest. I'm saying to you, at least 5 of the times, it could have been 6, but 5 of the times, I know clearly when I had Dice winning the crown.
Okay.
I felt the year that Dice did not get the crown, I think when he sang Animal Farm, I felt that year that Dice should have gotten the crown. All right.
Yeah,
I think the second year that he sang in 2005.
Animal Farm.
All right. I felt that Dice could have won the crown that year, and so I don't go with chips on my shoulders, or to determine who has a political song. As I've always said to people, Alex, that whenever I am judging, doing my judging of a Calypso or analyzing the Calypso, which is a better word to use, analyzing the Calypso, I do like a teacher who gives a child to do a composition. And when you give that child a composition about writing about Cecil Joseph, your teacher, I have to look at what are the requirements to score that child.
Boy, Cecil. Well, you're my boy, Cecil. I'm not sure, boy. That I don't know. I'm not, well, again, maybe it's you, eh? Because people take you seriously, man. You're a national, but you're the manager of this. For you to say out of the 9, you had 5.
I am saying to you that I can recall out of the 9 times that Dice has gotten crowns.
And you're being honest.
And I think that I had him at 100% getting the crown
that he
at
got.
number 1. And I'm saying that I had him the other years at number 1, the crown, and the other years I had him at number 2. So what is the rationale? What is the I have never said that I've had Dice at number 3,
No,
number
but
4,
well-
or not having him at all.
Well, judging.
Did you have him winning last year?
No,
You got it right last year?
I had it very right last year.
And you had him
I had, as I
second?
said, I had the order, all of the 4 last year. Correct.
Well, I think last year it was a very close call.
Mm-hmm.
Myself looking at the Calypso and what they sang, Trilogy and him were very good on the night of the finals. And I just felt that Trilogy won based on the impromptu Calypso, the Calypso he never released.
That's
And-
that was the bomb. That was the difference.
Right. And I believe
That was the
Alex
difference.
was behind that.
That was the difference. The difference was
He didn't
that,
sing.
that people did not hear what
What was he
good.
coming up?
So the camp of Dice didn't have the opportunity
To study what
analyze
he-
and to study the work of what
he was going to
bring.
release.
That's,
All right.
So that
and by virtue of this, it was a fresh song that every judge was going to listen to.
Too right. But I find it was a strategy which I found was very effective because very often people hear the song, at least even if 3 days before the finals, people get a chance to hear the Calypso, the second song. But I find it very unusual. I was saying,
That
what
we
is
do.
that guy doing? Is he mad?
Yes.
To be releasing a song, his second song on the
On the
night of the competition.
NC did that many
And
times.
you're not an NC.
And you're not NC.
A newcomer. So all of that we discussed. And boy, it was tough explaining that and trying to convince Trilogy. It took many hours. Because I looked at the thing and I said, and a couple of us, we all agreed. And he had to understand it. Pressure on him to release fellas telling him everybody. But we said, no, that's a hold back and just change that. And I said, tonight, when you sing in this song, and you get an instant and everything that he got with that song, he got it on the night when he dropped it. That's why he respect man the way he respect man. That's why he understand the vibe, because he see what we were saying. Because I've been in this case for so long. Branker, and the other ghost who is also part of the vibes as well. So it was a deliberate strategy to hold back. We said, do a press release, tease people with it, and drop it on the night. And here's what we could do, create, and whatever else. So it was a strategy. And this year, we will have our strategies again. I'm not saying that both songs are, well, one is going to be withheld. But we're already planning on giving the public something different and new. And if everything works well, we will see how it goes. But we are very optimistic that the King is going to defend very strong. Very, 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 absolutely strong.
Well, Alex, let me thank you. I don't know whether Cecil wants to ask you some more questions.
No.
But let me thank you for your very honest opinions, and the discussion was of a very high level. I enjoyed provoking you, and I must say you responded quite well, very good. And it seems to me that we have great things in store, I guess, from you. And, we pay a lot of attention to you. You don't have to come in. I was very pleased during the time when they were having the question of electoral reform, and you were able to come right through. It was in the President's Place where the conference was held, and you were able to give your opinion. I was very, very pleased with that. So let me thank you for your openness, and let's hope that you continue the good work that you've been doing thus far.
Alex, your last words.
Any problem. Well, thank you guys. It was nice being here. I didn't announce my physical appearance or presence prior because I'm quite private, even in public. But I'm really happy that I am here. I think that was an opportunity for me, Cecil, to have my voice on DBS after such a while. And I'm looking forward to more engagements. And any kind of engagement. People may be scared about exposing or being involved in the conversation with me when it comes to the politics. I'm as reasonable as it gets. I never want to bash or to belittle. We can have a big political conversation right now on DBS and no one is going to be angry because we will be able to stay within our parameters and discuss our country and our country's politics brain. That's how I see it. At the end of the day, we have different sides. But if you look at the talk shows in America, you have a Republican sitting there, a Democrats right there, and they having it out. At the end of the day, they shake hands and they laugh. Why can't we do that in Dominica? Why must it be what it is right now? So I'm looking forward to that kind of engagement as well, guys. If we are mature enough to do it, let's do it. I think DBS should have a political show with political people where you have political pundits talking on both sides. Eventually, sometime in the future. Again, that's for Cecil to decide. But if you are willing to do that or any other discussions, just give me a call, man. I'll be more than happy to come here. Thanks again.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Alex
you very
Bruno.
much.
And I really appreciate the fact that you could have taken the opportunity to be here with us and to the listeners and viewers, because we have quite a number of persons viewing. We had over 300 people viewing.
So
at
the
any
numbers
given
went
time.
up, Cecil,
Yeah,
from
the numbers-
180?
Yes, a long time.
Wow.
Right now, as we speak, it's 248.
That's a lot of people, boy.
Yes, quite a lot of people. Just us on DBS platform of Facebook. I can imagine what YouTube is doing. And so, Alex, I just want to say thank you very, very much. Very open and honest discussion that we had. Ideas will contend. Also, too, that people are going to agree to disagree. We all have our various views. Like Alex, I can see you're very hard-headed yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course.
I mean that goes without saying, because every one of us must have ideology, must have some kind of principles that will help us to develop our own character. And so I really want to say to you, thank you so very much, and I hope that when again we call, that you can be to our rescue. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Give
All right.
thanks.
Thanks, yes. All right, I'm bringing Alex a beautiful night tonight with us. Great program. I think what we can do, we can pause for a cause.
Right, and then
to
take
a
15
song.
minutes, and
Yes,
then we'll
yes.
wind up.
Yeah, take 2 minutes and then we can wind up.
Wind up, yeah.
Yes, let's do that, and let's see what we can get from here. Where is it? I need to get a song on YouTube if I can. Let's take a sweet jazz. back with our
Yeah.
chat, the two.
Well, Cecil, one of the things that I always admire and I relish is language. And in literature, language can be very, 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 very sometimes confusing. And people have to pay attention to it. Let's take, for instance, a word wanted. That's a very important word. I can say, for instance, in the Wild West, you see wanted. And hired killers would go out there because there's a bounty on the person's head, wanted 10,000 in the Wild West. For instance, if a criminal is outside there, the police puts out some information that this person is wanted. Have you seen that person? So the word wanted is a very, very, very important word. Then a person can be wanted. Why do you want him? Person might ask. He's doing well. So for instance, a person might say that a good leader is wanted. Why? Because in their opinion, he delivers certain things to them. And that thing could be very important to them. So for them, they want him. Or they want her because of what they do. So the word wanted is something that we have to pay attention to. It had too many. So you might want a guy, and I want the guy for different reasons. So the word there is very, very important. And so we must be very careful how we treat the word. And so if we give commentaries, not everybody would like the commentaries. Because each of us will have our own bias in the way we think about the individual that's being spoken about, because we have our own bias. So we have to be able to accept the difference of opinion based on what we are saying. And then we must not be saying, okay, because a person criticizes, oh boy, Brain, don't go back on the show. Because, the person criticized you. No, that's very foolish. Because people have a right to agree or disagree with you. And that is what life is all about. You do not live in a perfect world. There are different persons will share different opinions about you. And I find that in a small society, we tend to be too petty. No, we should be able to say, oh boy, they criticize Brain. I take the criticism. Take my name, for instance. If a person would say, oh, but look, Brain, a Batman like you, man, how are you so foolish to be supporting an idea? But that's his opinion about me. He has a right. My right to say to him, well, that's how you think about me, but I don't think about myself like that. And some of my friends may say, but Brain, don't worry about him. You went to university. Or Brain, you're a principal. Or Brain, you would be an education officer. But somebody will say, a bigger education officer like you, Brain. That's how you're behaving.
And Brain, as you're saying this, I decided to go to the dictionary to get the meaning of wanted. The term wanted. And I just want to make people know that whenever I sit and I hear information, I tend to
you have to do your research right away.
And do my research.
You Google? You went to your
Yes.
dictionary?
So the dictionary says the term wanted has two main meanings. One, wished for and loved by other people.
Right.
In this context, wanted refer to something or someone that is desired, cherished, or admired by others.
Good.
That's what you said.
That's what I said.
Second
But what's the
one
other meaning?
is being searched for by the police.
Right.
In the context of the law enforcement, wanted refer to a person who is being searched for by the police in connection with a crime that has been committed.
Right. So in other words, when a person uses the word wanted, one has to look at it in what is the person saying? Is it really that a person is wanted because the person, in their opinion, may have done several things wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand the context of the word, because whilst you're looking for that person for wanted, I may want that person to be with me.
Do you
Based on my opinion.
do you-
That is your opinion. You want the person because in your opinion, the person is a crook.
do you
But in my opinion, I want the person because the person is good for me, because the person is doing well for me. So when you come with your word wanted, you have to understand what is the context you're using it in.
do you know the meaning of theoretical democracy?
No. There is no word like that. First of all, within a system of democracy, let me go to politics or political systems. You have an autocratic leader. That is a man who does things by himself. But he can become autocratic because there are times when you must take decisions that others don't agree with. In the interests of the organization, and persons may say, but Mr. is a dictator man. There's another thing called democratic, where you talk to people. There's another thing called consultative, where you consult with other people. But in the final analysis, the decision rests with you. So it depends on the context in which the person is. Because people may say, oh, there's another one he will probably want to say. You know, there's leaders that are people in the church. Like, for instance, the Grand Ayatollah of Iran. He's a religious man, you know. Right? And he executes his philosophy based on ideology. Now, look at that. Israel itself have certain things that they believe in the Bible, you know. That Israel is protected by the Lord. And therefore, there are certain people within the political sphere that use religion to guide their policies and decisions that they take. So you see, people have to understand that in the context in which they're speaking, because leaders can be religious and they are controlling countries. All right? So we have to understand what we're talking about.
Is there anything called tyrannical democracy?
No.
But there's a word called there's a word tyrannical.
No, but not in democracy.
Not in democracy.
But in democracy, you have your leader who can take a decision.
That's all I'm prepared to ask.
No. Well, I'm telling you,
Yes.
based on your constitution, the constitution allows the leader in a democratic country, depending on the British system, to decide when election can be
So
called.
what I'm prepared to say is that the people who think that I am malaprop, I would like them to go and make a research of some words that they would have heard in songs. I'm not going to call Calypsonian names. They would have heard in songs, and to tell me in reference to articulation and diction how much it really warrants into lyrical content.
Well, I would argue that way. Do not be afraid of criticism.
No, I'm not. Cecil Joseph is not. Alex will tell you that.
No. A person must critique. Anytime a person is not criticizing, you're not good. Everybody will not agree with you.
That's correct.
Don't expect
not
everybody
even if
to
Jesus
agree.
Christ that everybody agreed with.
And even in your own organization,
Yes, not everybody will agree.
you'd expect everybody that working with you in DBS to like you, know, or everybody hate you.
You'd be a fool to believe that.
Because some people will always not like you.
Alex made the point earlier on
And he
in
made
reference
the
to a principal who he didn't have, which he was not fond of.
Right.
But I'm sure another person might say, "But that Alex is a mad fella."
But I know the guy who he spoke about. But for me, the guy was good to me, because when I was doing my certificate in administration, management, and supervision, that guy was then a teacher at the convent high school. So his experience with the guy is not my experience with the guy. So one person can have one experience with a person and another person have another experience, and the experiences are two different ones. So you have to understand human nature. That's how we are, Cecil. And therefore, I think in the interest of our own development, we have to be able to not be too thin-skinned, but let's continue our work, man, no matter what. And Alex said it best. Some people like him, some people... Me and Alex, we've had our clashes as well. But I love the guy. I mean, it's just that at different times we may not agree on certain things. But we have to resolve and move on before our life. So I left that word in terms of wanted, in terms of the two different context in which we can use them. And both of them is good. One is how you see the individual, and the other is how I see, is our perception and our realities. So I just thought I would just bring this short discussion to an end now.
I like that, and I hope that, again, Brian, from what you have said in terms of looking at the word wanting or wanted, that people can come to understand the value of refrain, I am wanted, you know.
Right.
And I think it would help us if, as listeners of songs, not persons who are critically criticizing a song, but people who are actually listening to a song,
right,
that they will really and truly take the lines as given to them and analyze those lines. And I think sometimes we'll have a better understanding as
of
to
what we're talking about.
What is going on.
I must tell you, Cecil, I
Yes.
enjoyed the discussion. I must
yes.
tell you that Alex was very brilliant.
Oh yes,
I give him an A+.
I give him an A++.
Well, you gave him by. I hope you didn't mark him with a bias because he worked with you at one time.
No. Alex knows
I just
that.
wanted to
Alex
provoke
knows.
you.
Alex knows that he and I would have had fights before he said that.
I know.
But you know,
Right.
I respect a man when he gives you
Right.
information that is credible, and that's what's important.
I would like to thank all the Dominicans who listen to us, both on the YouTube, both on the other media platforms, and I just would like to say it was a pleasure being with you tonight, Cecil, and I enjoyed the discussion and the program too.
Thank you very much. And for those persons who tuned in late, that we were actually speaking to Professor Alex Bruno, we call him Double A, who is also an author and a researcher of information. So on Tuesday, he will be launching on Wednesday he'll be launching his book, and on Tuesday he'll be having the Hall of Fames that in reference to Calypsos, and as you heard him make mention of some 5 or 4 people and 1 institution will be recognized. So thanks again, listeners. Let's go across to BBC World Service. Good evening, and let's have a good night.
Hello, I'm Erika Banker. Join me for Ending Homelessness the Finnish Way, where we'll be hearing how the Nordic country of Finland has virtually eradicated rough sleeping by giving homeless people apartments with no strings attached.
Home, cozy, warm, private. I just love it.
Do you ever think about how your life would be different now if you hadn't been offered this place to live?
If I don't get this chance, I'll be 6 feet under. 100% saved my life.
That's Ending Homelessness the Finnish Way, after the news, here on the BBC World Service.
Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. The former US President Donald Trump and the one-time UN Ambassador Nikki Haley are the 2 remaining contenders for the Republican presidential nomination after the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis withdrew. Mr. DeSantis, who's now endorsed Mr. Trump, said he could not ask for ongoing support when he didn't have a clear path to victory. These people in New Hampshire, where Tuesday's primary takes place, gave their reaction.
Very deflated, very upset. This is not good news at all. It's very deflating.
I'm thinking about possibly writing him in, or the other possibility is just maybe RFK. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. I was working pretty hard for him, so it's a shock.
I'm disappointed in the timing of it all. Most candidates want to unite the party. Trump can't unite his own party, let alone the country.
Mr. Trump said he expected most DeSantis supporters to back him. An investigation by BBC Arabic has found evidence that the United Arab Emirates hired American mercenaries to assassinate political opponents in Yemen. Nawal al-Maghafi